The female lead was originally a billionaire CEO, but she hasn't eaten a single grain of rice in half a month. The molecular gastronomy made by Michelin-starred chefs was no different from chewing on foam to her. The bird's nest and shark fin soup, prepared by top private chefs, made her want to throw up just looking at it. The doctor issued a final ultimatum. If she didn't eat soon, she would have to rely on IV nutrient fluids to stay alive. Just as the entire Liu family was running around in a panic, Liu Yanran was by the side of the road and picked up a poor guy who had just been laid off. "Can you cook? Are you emotionally stable? You'll do." Her main requirement was emotional stability. She snapped her fingers crisply. Her tone was bossy and domineering. "Come with me. Be my private butler. Room and board included. Monthly salary 50,000. The whole place went dead silent. 50,000 a month? Room and board included? Zhao Kuo's mouth was open wide enough to fit an egg. Lin Wan's eyes were about to pop out of her head. Who would have thought that a bottom-tier corporate slave who just lost his job would be scooped up in public by a top-tier rich woman with a massive salary? I glanced at the two people beside me who were having a mental breakdown. I suddenly had an epiphany. Why struggle and participate in the rat race as a wage slave? Working yourself to death is nothing compared to seizing the chance to be a kept man. I smiled faintly. I know how to play the game. The doctor said I have a weak stomach, so I'm naturally suited for the easy life. I'll take the job. Decisive. Get in. I smoothly opened the door and got into the passenger seat. The Ferrari's engine roared as it aggressively pulled away. The exhaust fumes gave Lin Wan and Zhao Kuo a full-on baptism. The pretentious duo was left eating our dust. In the car, the boss lady Liu Yanran steered with one hand, driving fast and steady. She cast a sidelong glance at me. Her tone carried a hint of amusement. "Was that your ex-girlfriend? Your taste is really terrible. Replace you for a guy driving a crappy ride." I leaned back against the leather seat and casually mocked myself. I was blind before. Losing my job today conveniently cured my eyesight. Liu Yanran chuckled. "Interesting. If you had been crying and whining back there, I would have kicked you out of the car right then and there." I replied politely. "Thanks for helping me out of that situation, Boss Liu. You can just drop me off at the subway station up ahead. We just met by chance. Rich people just want some fresh entertainment. I know my place. I definitely won't try to climb the social ladder and make things awkward. Better to just bow out gracefully." Instead of slowing down, Liu Yanran stepped on the gas. "What? Afraid I'm going to scam you? No, you're a busy person. I don't want to waste your time." She gave me a deep, assessing look. Her tone carried a hint of approval. "You've got a good head on your shoulders. Not greedy, not arrogant. Seriously though, can you actually cook? Don't just talk a big game." I answered truthfully. My dad is a veteran house husband. I grew up watching and learning from him. Home-cooked meals are no problem. Liu Yanran was instantly intrigued. "Henpecked husband genes. Huh? Then we're good." I just fired my chef. The food he made tasted like pig shit. "You're on a trial period. Do a good job and it's 50,000 a month. Full benefits. Double pay at the end of the year. The whole package. If you serve me well and keep me happy, bonuses will be extra." This compensation package absolutely crushed the annual KPIs of 99% of wage slaves. To be honest, I was tempted, but also feeling guilty. My home cooking skills were enough for ordinary people, but serving a top-tier rich woman would probably end in disaster. Just as I was about to politely decline, a mechanical notification sound suddenly rang in my head. Almighty system activated successfully. Novice task: accept Liu Yanran's employment. Initiate the hardcore soft rice life mission. Reward: God-tier Sichuan cuisine mastery. I instantly saw the light. God is spoon-feeding me the easy life. I'd be a fool not to take it. I accept. Liu Yanran nodded. Then her tone suddenly turned icy. "Let's set the rules straight. The fundamental logic in my house is, I am the sky. If I tell you to go east, don't go west. If I tell you to beat the dog, don't chase the chicken. If you dare to get any funny ideas or slack off, you'll pack your bags and get out immediately." An overwhelming sense of pressure hit me in the face, but I remained completely unfazed. The ultimate rule of a wage slave: the one paying the bills is God. I calmly replied, "Understood. As long as the salary is paid in full and on time, whatever you say goes." Decisive. I like sensible people like you. The Ferrari drove into a top-tier wealthy neighborhood and came to a smooth stop in front of a detached villa. As soon as I got out of the car, the system notification refreshed again. Ding! Novice task completed. God-tier Sichuan cuisine mastery has been distributed. New task triggered. Conquer Liu Yanran's taste buds. Task reward: Grandmaster level massage techniques. A massive stream of culinary information instantly flooded my mind. Knife skills, heat control, and secret seasoning recipes were all carved into my instincts. The perfect curl of twice-cooked pork, the scalding, tender freshness of mapo tofu, the numbing, spicy, and savory aroma of Sichuan boiled fish. All techniques were mastered to absolute perfection. I rolled up my shirt sleeves, looked at the luxurious villa in front of me, and the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. Since I'm destined to be a kept man, then I'm going to hold this bowl of rice as steadily as possible. I'll eat my way straight to a top-tier life. Walking into the villa, The interior space was absurdly massive, a textbook setup for a top-tier client. Liu Yanren casually tossed her car keys aside, kicked off her high heels, and her aura instantly switched. Just a moment ago, she was an aloof female CEO, but now she was lazy and casual. The contrast was absolutely off the charts. She sprawled on the sofa, looking completely drained. She bluntly stated that she was suffering from anorexia. The exquisite dishes made by Michelin-starred chefs were nothing but flashy, impractical decorations in her eyes. If she didn't eat soon, she'd have to be put on an IV drip. She dumped her entire eating KPI onto my shoulders. Tomorrow, you have to make me something appetizing, something that can make me finish a whole bowl of rice. You'll be heavily rewarded. I agreed without hesitation. A Sichuanese stomach can only be awakened by the numbing, spicy aroma of everyday cooking. Afterwards, she called over the head maid, Aunt Lou, to show me around and get me familiar with the place. She then went upstairs to rest. Aunt Lou looked kind, but she was a veteran of wealthy households. She could see through social dynamics at a glance. She took the initiative to brief me, helping me fully understand my role. Liu Yanran is 26 years old. She is the founder of Qianyu Media. She holds top-tier industry resources and is worth billions. I was slightly startled inwardly. This wasn't just a rich woman. She was a bona fide top-tier industry titan. The boss of the company my ex-girlfriend was desperately trying to get into was now my direct employer. Immediately after, Aunt Lou's tone shifted, and she began to subtly warn me. The Liu family had deep roots. Liu Yanran's business was just a small side project to them. A high-paying job comes with high risks. She told me to know my place and to keep my mouth shut and my hands to myself. I instantly understood the hidden meaning. This $50,000 a month salary had an extremely low margin for error. The waters of a wealthy household's workplace were absurdly deep. I calmly stated my position, making it clear that I would stay in my lane and focus solely on my job as a cook. Aunt Lou was quite satisfied. She led me to my exclusive guest room. The space was far larger than my previous rented apartment. In the afternoon, I took some time to go back, pack my bags, end my lease, and move out. Lin Wan sent me a bunch of emotional, unhinged texts. I blocked her with one click and cut off all contact. Wasting energy on toxic people is a pure waste of time. Cutting your losses decisively is the optimal solution. Returning to the villa in the evening after a long day of running around, I was already starving. Since I didn't officially start until tomorrow, I decided to whip up a staff meal for myself. The scale of this wealthy family's kitchen was exaggerated. The ingredient reserves were basically a top-tier warehouse. Wagyu beef, blue lobsters, high-end matsutake mushrooms stuffed the fridge. Luxurious ingredients were everywhere, but I knew very well that an anorexic stomach didn't care about high-end plating. It only craved the authentic, robust flavors of street food. I dug out a fresh grass carp, preparing to make an authentic bowl of Sichuan boiled fish. God-tier Sichuan cuisine mastery instantly activated. Every operational logic was carved into my instincts. Heat the wok, pour in the oil. Sizzle the Sichuan peppercorns and chili peppers until fragrant. The numbing, spicy aroma instantly filled the entire kitchen. Stir-fry the doubanjiang until the red oil seeps out. Simmer the fish bones for the broth. Quickly boil the fish slices until tender and flavorful. And finally, pour boiling oil over them. The aroma of scallions and ginger exploded across the room. The skills provided by the system were truly flawless down to the finest detail. The taste was impeccable. Just as I picked up the bowl to taste it, the soft sound of slippers came from behind me. I turned around and saw Liu Yanran standing at the top of the stairs, draped in a bathrobe, stripped of her aloof corporate filter. Her hair was slightly messy, looking lazy and delicate. Her originally dull peach blossom eyes were now locked dead onto the boiled fish in my hands. She visibly swallowed hard. The sluggishness of her anorexia was completely swept away. "What are you making?" Her voice was hoarse and slightly nasal, filled with absolute amazement. "That smell is way too overpowering." I spoke calmly, "Just a casual staff meal. Sichuan boiled fish." Liu Yanren walked straight into the kitchen. Her eyes were sparkling like a starving little wolf cub. She reached out and urged me, her tone bossy and impatient, "Get me a pair of chopsticks." "Hurry up." I casually pulled out a pair of ivory chopsticks and handed them over. Liu Yanren snatched them away, moving as fast as if she were snatching a billion-dollar contract. She eagerly picked up a slice of fish dripping with red oil and shoved it straight into her mouth. The numbing, spicy, and savory flavors exploded like a bomb in her mouth. The fish was so tender it melted on her tongue, without the slightest hint of fishiness. The pure, robust, savory flavor shot straight to her brain. Her taste buds, which had been on strike for half a month, instantly resurrected. Back to work with pinpoint precision. Liu Yanran didn't have time to speak. She just buried her head and devoured it. Next, she picked up some bean sprouts soaked in the broth. Crisp, juicy, and thoroughly infused with the spicy flavor. The texture was absolutely top tier. After a couple of bites, she suddenly looked up, red oil still lingering on the corner of her mouth. "Rice. How can I eat fish without rice? Hurry up and get me some rice." I found it hilarious inwardly. Just a few days ago, she was anorexic and practically starving herself. Now she was acting like a reincarnated starving ghost. Already prepped. I brought out a bowl of crystal clear white rice and handed it to her. Liu Yanren completely threw away her CEO image and her wealthy heiress etiquette. A bite of fish, a bite of rice. Carbs paired with protein, achieving a perfect flavor loop. The only sound left in the kitchen was her slurping and devouring her food. Standing at the door, Aunt Lou's eyes grew red. Her face was full of disbelief. Her young miss hadn't eaten a single grain of rice in half a month, relying on IV fluids to stay alive. Yet today, she was eating like crazy. She secretly made up her mind that she had to report this to Master Liu. In just 10 short minutes, the massive blue and white porcelain basin was completely emptied. The rice was eaten clean. Liu Yanran leaned against the kitchen island, let out a long breath, her face full of satisfaction. So comfortable. Absolutely perfect. She let out a completely unladylike burp and rubbed her slightly bulging stomach. The sickly pallor on her face faded, replaced by a healthy, rosy flush. There was even a light sweat on her nose. Her entire body shed its exhaustion, radiating an aura of ultimate relaxation. Ding. Task completed. Conquer Liu Yanran's stomach. Reward distributed. Grandmaster level massage techniques. My hands instantly felt a tingling sensation. A massive amount of knowledge on acupoints, meridians, and massage techniques flooded my mind. My full-body massage skills were instantly maxed out. This cheat code experience was an absolute win. Liu Yanran grabbed a tissue to wipe her mouth, looking at me with eyes that found me more and more pleasing. It's a shame you don't open your own restaurant with these skills. The molecular gastronomy that previous chef made tasted as awful as chewing on foam. If I knew you were this capable, I wouldn't have starved for so many days. The way she looked at me now, my looks, personality, and skills were a perfect, all-around match for her. Just as I was about to clear the dishes, Liu Yanran suddenly spoke up to stop me. She frowned slightly, a hint of pain showing on her face. I ate too much. My stomach is bloated. Plus, from staying up late and not moving around, my shoulders and lower back are aching terribly. She gently rolled her neck, her bones cracking audibly. Her suboptimal health was completely exposed. Anorexia plus staying up late had severely overdrawn her body, and that binge eating just now pushed her discomfort to the max. Liu Yanran looked at me, hesitating to speak. Her eyes held a mix of expectation and probing. I instantly understood. Talk about someone handing you a pillow right when you're sleepy. My new skill was ready for a perfect landing. You want to ask if I know how to massage? Liu Yanran nodded hastily. Do you? A little. I dried my hands and said calmly, go lie on your stomach on the sofa and wait for me. All right. Liu Yanran quickly went and lay face down on the leather sofa, looking as lazy as a docile Persian cat. Her loose silk bathrobe slipped down slightly, revealing delicate, eye-catching curves. Hurry up. I'm so sore I could die. She urged me with a muffled voice, her face buried in a throw pillow. I took a deep breath. This was a true test for a wage slave. Earning this $50,000 a month salary pushed the workplace difficulty level to the absolute max. I sat down on the edge of the sofa and gently placed my hands on her shoulders. The moment my fingertips touched her, Liu Yanran's entire body trembled, and she let out a soft, delicate moan. Standing nearby, Aunt Lou's old face flushed red. She quickly found an excuse and slipped into the kitchen to wash the dishes. I steadied my mind. My thumbs accurately locked onto the acupoints on her neck and shoulders. Press, rotate, push. The Grandmaster level techniques were executed flawlessly. Hiss. Lighter. Are you trying to murder your boss? Bear with it. This is called pleasure through pain. We have to knead out the knots to relieve the tension. A warm current seeped through my fingertips into her muscles. Her chronically stiff muscles gradually loosened and melted away. An ultimate sensation of numbing, aching relief swept through her entire body. Even her bones felt completely relaxed. Liu Yanran's tense body completely softened. Intermittent soft hums kept escaping her lips. Right there. A little harder. That feels so good. My hands roamed across her shoulders, back, and the dimples of her lower back. Every application of pressure hit the critical spots with pinpoint accuracy. The technique was as smooth as flowing water and drifting clouds, comparable to a top-tier physical therapist working their magic. Liu Yanran's mind grew hazy and soft. Her whole body felt light and floaty. It was more intoxicating than signing a multi-billion-dollar contract. The decisive, ruthless female CEO was now completely melted, like a puddle of spring water. She murmured softly in a daze, Liu An, you've passed the trial period. I chuckled slightly. I've only been here for half a day. Liu Yanran's tone carried a mix of grievance and relief. What took you so long to get here? The sky outside turned completely dark. After this full set of max-level massage, Liu Yanran fell dead asleep right on the sofa. Looking at her state, it was as if she had soaked in a hot spring for 2 hours. Her muscles and bones were completely relaxed, suffering from chronic neurasthenia and plagued by insomnia. She hadn't slept this peacefully in a long time. I didn't disturb her. I just sat quietly on the sofa nearby and waited. No one knew that this billionaire female CEO absolutely refused to be just a wealthy family's mascot. Graduating at 22, she stubbornly rejected the cushy job arranged by her family and insisted on starting her own business. Relying on $50 million in startup capital, she caught the short video trend and skyrocketed to success. She seemed to have boundless glory, but in reality, she was under high pressure all year round, dealing with online data, traffic, PR crises, and a bunch of restless influencer employees. Long-term mental exhaustion had literally driven her to develop 2 major terminal illnesses, anorexia and insomnia, until today, when she casually picked me up off the street and directly solved her two biggest pain points. A Sichuan meal cured her anorexia. A massage session cured her insomnia. Such a rare talent had to be locked down immediately. She absolutely couldn't let me slip away. I don't know how much time passed. Lu Yanran slowly opened her eyes, completely revived with full HP. She looked up and saw me sitting quietly, radiating a perfect, calming vibe. No noise, not playing on my phone. It inexplicably gave her a feeling of peaceful tranquility. You're awake. I looked up upon hearing her, stood up, poured a cup of warm water, and handed it to her. You get dehydrated easily right after waking up. Drink some warm water to ease into it. Lu Yanran finished the water, put down the cup, and stared straight at me. Her gaze was serious and domineering. It was the exact posture of a boss finalizing core KPIs. Luan, I've made a decision. From now on, you won't just take care of my stomach, you'll also take care of my waist and back. Every night before bed, you must massage me for half an hour. I won't be able to sleep without it. I frowned slightly, maintaining my professional workplace ethics. Boss, this is already beyond the job description of a chef. Lu Yanran instantly flared up, her domineering CEO aura fully unleashed. If I tell you to massage me, you massage me. Do you know how many people line up for the chance to serve me and never get it? I looked up, my face full of righteous adherence to the rules. Boss Liu, that's going to cost extra. Extra services require extra pay. Exchanging labor for compensation is only natural. The living room was quiet for 2 seconds. Then Lu Yanran burst out laughing. It was the first time she had ever seen someone dare to negotiate salary with her item by item. Huh, you little fool. So you just wanted a raise. Easy. I might lack other things, but I have plenty of cash flow. As long as you serve me comfortably, there's no cap on your salary. After saying that, she ran barefoot to the study, pulled out a pen and paper, and prepared to set new rules. Looking at her posture, she was afraid I'd run away, and was getting ready to lock me into a long-term contract. Private butler employment contract. The title looked official, but the contents were full of personal, biased clauses, directly and precisely locking down all my core skills. Clause 1. Culinary skills are exclusively hers for life. No stopping meals without permission. Clause 2. A half-hour massage every night before bed. No overtime pay, no slacking off, no excuses. Clause 3. The contract duration was changed directly from 1 year to 3 years, forcibly locking me into the position. Clause 4. Strictly forbidden to provide the same services to any other opposite sex or even animals. Her happiness had to be a 100% exclusive monopoly. Clause 5. Provide bottomless emotional value. On call 24/7, unconditionally relieving stress and chatting. After writing the clauses, she waved her hand and finalized the salary. Monthly salary, 100,000 plus mood-based. Massive year-end bonuses. It all depended on how satisfied she was. I looked at the doubled salary, then looked at the domineering clauses, and the corner of my mouth twitched slightly. Boss Liu, clause 4 is too ridiculous. I can't even cook for a stray cat? Liu Yinran crossed her arms over her chest, her possessiveness maxed out. No. I'm a germaphobe. All your skills can only be used to serve me. I shook my head helplessly. This boss's desire for exclusive control was seriously off the charts. But with a 100,000 monthly salary sitting right there, all grievances could be cleared with one click. I picked up the pen, ready to sign, when I suddenly noticed a loophole. Wait, the contract doesn't have a breach of contract penalty. This isn't compliant. Lu Yanran looked completely unbothered, fully embracing her boss privilege. If you're obedient, there's no penalty. Cut the crap. She directly pulled out an ink pad, grabbed my thumb, and pressed it down hard, smoothly and forcefully stamping my fingerprint. Her forced cell operation was incredibly smooth. I looked at the bright red fingerprint, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Boss Liu, this is basically forcing a good man into prostitution. I'm stating this up front. I sell my skills, not my body. I have professional boundaries. Lu Yanran looked at the contract, in a great mood. She looked up and playfully scanned me from my shoulders down to my waist and abs. Her gaze was blunt and brazen. During the massage, she had already noticed that my body proportions and muscle definition were extremely top tier. She suddenly leaned forward, getting close. The atmosphere instantly became incredibly ambiguous and intimate. A fresh fragrance hit my face. The distance was so close, it made my heart race. A slender finger gently lifted my chin. She acted like a female hooligan teasing an innocent man. Her tone was lazy yet domineering. Sell your skills, not your body? Heh. I swear to God, there's no way you're escaping me. Clang. The safe was locked tight, announcing that my new employment contract is officially in effect. Lu Yanran looked like a sugar mommy who just hit a massive KPI. She patted the cabinet door with a smug look on her face. That posture. It clearly said, "You are completely bound to me now." I held a wet wipe, slowly wiping the red ink off my thumb. To be honest, the moment I was forced to leave my thumbprint, I thought I was falling into a trap. That is, until my phone buzzed in my pocket with a 100,000 yuan deposit. The 6-figure notification, marked as salary plus deposit, instantly smoothed over all my workplace grievances. In the face of a rock-solid high salary, dignity is temporarily folded up and archived. I'm all about workplace pragmatism. Received. Lu Yanran slouched in her leather executive chair, swinging her legs as she sized me up. Her eyes looked like she had just signed for a limited edition employee. My posture instantly snapped to attention. Professionalism maxed out. "You're a very generous boss." She casually fished an access card and keys from her drawer and slid them over to me. A messy pile of lipsticks mixed with documents perfectly illustrated the casual office style of a rich woman. "I've granted you full access to the villa. Come and go as you please. Since you've taken the money, treat this place like your own territory. Though the property rights are still mine." I pocketed them with a backhand motion. "Understood. A luxury mansion worth hundreds of millions is my new full-time workplace. Full handover, done in one step." Lu Yanran stretched lazily and strolled over, pointing at an empty spot in the living room. "Go to the flower and bird market tomorrow and buy some potted plants. This empty space is ruining the vibe." I expertly pulled out my pocket notebook, entering workplace demand recording mode. Her requirements were incredibly granular. "No tacky flowering plants. I want large leaf greenery. The monstera must have split leaves. The leaves need to be bright and vibrant. The pot should be gray cement or terracotta. It needs to scream premium texture." Any ordinary worker would have had a mental breakdown by now. But I'm all about flawless execution, satisfying the client's needs across all dimensions. I quickly jotted down her requests, and even took the initiative to add, "The study has great lighting. Pairing it with asparagus, ferns, and Buddhist pines will elevate the overall aesthetic." Liu Yanran's eyes instantly lit up. Her previous assistants were all just going through the motions. I was the only one who could precisely match her needs, and even think one step ahead. The absolute template of a top-tier employee. "Let's do that. Just expense it directly. As long as it looks good. I don't care." Just then, Auntie Liu, the housekeeper, tiptoed over to report that she was done cleaning. Her eyes darted back and forth between us, probing. Her face was full of confusion. The boss is actually working harmoniously with a male employee today. Dismissing Auntie Liu and her doubts, the villa instantly quieted down. Around 9 p.m., Liu Yanran's messed-up biological clock kicked in. She suddenly jumped topics. "What are we eating tomorrow morning?" The god-level Sichuan cuisine mastery in my mind instantly auto-matched a menu. "You had spicy boiled fish last night, which irritated your stomach. Tomorrow morning needs to be gentle and soothing. Clear broth chow show." She still wanted to try the spicy red oil flavor, but I shot that down immediately. I briefly described the chicken skeleton and pork bone broth base, paired with the texture of thin-skinned, bursting fillings. It successfully hooked her appetite. She reluctantly compromised, but threw out a threat. "If it's too bland, I'm giving you a bad review." I smiled and agreed, taking the opportunity to remind her to wash up and rest. Delivering full-spectrum butler empowerment, she padded upstairs in her fluffy slippers, stopped halfway, and called out to me from above. I looked up and replied, "Good night." The next morning, my biological clock is 10,000 times more reliable than an alarm. Lying in the soft guest bed of the luxury mansion, I couldn't help but marvel at this 100K a month work environment. It really cures the mental burnout of a wage slave. Compared to my old drafty rental in the urban village, and waking up early to squeeze onto the subway, this is purely a high-end paid retirement. I quickly washed up, changed, and headed straight to the massive kitchen to start work. I picked out pork shoulder with a 30% fat to 70% lean ratio, the golden ratio for the filling, rejecting the assembly line texture of machine-ground meat. Only hand chopping can max out the dish's quality. The god-level Sichuan cuisine mastery took over the entire process. The exact grams of ingredients, the stirring force, the thickness of the wrappers, everything was precisely optimized. The hand-rolled wrappers were as thin as cicada wings. The folded chaoshi were perfectly uniform in size and neatly shaped. It was an instant cure for OCD. By the time the aroma filled the entire house, Liu Yanran finally woke up on the second floor. Sporting messy bedhead and wearing silk pajamas, she leaned against the doorframe. Her dazed eyes made her look like a startled kitten, staring blankly at me cooking. "If you're awake, go wash up. Food will be ready in 5 minutes." I didn't even look up, firmly controlling the workplace rhythm. She stubbornly complained that my cooking was too loud, but honestly and obediently went upstairs to wash up. I took the chance to mix the soul of the dish, a chicken broth base, complemented by a few seasonings. The umami flavor was instantly maxed out. When Liu Yanran came downstairs, she had regained her female CEO aura, except her eyes were glued to the chow show on the dining table, unable to hide her foodie nature. With one sip of the broth, her pupils literally quaked. This is even better than a 5-star hotel chef's cooking. Those high-end breakfasts taste like chewing sawdust compared to this. As I ate, I silently planned ahead. I'd need to incorporate herbal meals to condition her weak constitution. A high-paying job requires top-tier service. I have to keep the client happy to keep the income flowing. She devoured all the chow show like a whirlwind, even drinking the broth clean. Her burp completely betrayed her aloof persona. Then she launched into a rapid-fire interrogation, suspecting I was some master trained exclusively by a wealthy family, and that I had ulterior motives for approaching her. I calmly threw reality in her face. If I really had that kind of background, I wouldn't have been laid off by a bald boss and left unemployed. She instantly burst out laughing at that, completely dropping her guard. She even bossily declared, "Now that you've signed the contract, don't even think about running. You're my person for the rest of your life." Before I could react, she directly assigned a new task: clean up the dishes, take me out shopping. I was instantly dumbfounded. Something wasn't right. I'm clearly here to be a butler and provide a service. How am I inexplicably being reverse-groomed by a rich woman? While I was in the living room organizing the plant shopping list, a clattering noise came from the master bedroom upstairs. I didn't even have to think to know. Liu Yanran was meticulously picking out an outfit, getting ready to head out. Half an hour later, the crisp sound of high heels echoed on the stairs. I looked up and glanced over. I instantly understood what a dimensional strike of beauty meant. A pure white haute couture dress, perfectly tailored to trace her curves. The side slit paired with pearlescent stockings made her long legs incredibly eye-catching. The diamond-studded strappy heels screamed pure luxury. Honestly, with these looks and this figure, she absolutely had the power to make men swipe their cards brainlessly. This was probably the hidden workplace perk of a 100K monthly salary. Definitely not a bad deal. Maybe even an over-return on investment. Lu Yanran accurately caught my brief moment of distraction. Her vanity was instantly maxed out. She deliberately slowed her pace and did a little twirl to show off, waiting to see my stunned, jaw-dropping reaction. Unfortunately, my professional etiquette wouldn't allow me to drop the ball. I quickly gathered my wits and put on a standard professional smile. 30% polite, 70% distant. Perfectly grasping the boundaries. Boss Lu, your taste is impeccable. The dress really suits your aura. Then, shifting gears, I activated my professional critique mode. But those 10cm heels have a terrible cost-performance ratio. 2 hours of shopping is at least 8,000 steps. Within half an hour, your ankles and calves will be overloaded. It'll severely drag down our travel efficiency. I suggest changing into flats or cushioned sneakers. Comfort and practicality are what close the loop. Li Yanran's smile died on the spot. The gorgeous atmosphere she had so carefully crafted was completely ignored by me. I was only obsessing over walking mechanics and commute efficiency. She blew up right then and there. Poking me in the chest, she snapped. Are you made of wood? I dressed up this nicely. And you want to talk about work KPIs? I calmly took the hit, remaining completely unfazed. I got dumped because I was poor, not because I don't understand aesthetics. Monitoring the employer's health is an implicit clause in the contract. If you insist on wearing them, fine. But if your feet hurt later and you want me to carry you, that's an extra charge. Lu Yanran felt like she had punched cotton. With nowhere to vent her anger, she doubled down. I'm not changing. I'm wearing these today. Watching her storm out with that tsundere attitude, I secretly smirked. The underlying logic of the workplace is that you can't be a simp. You have to push back appropriately and occasionally counter them to secure your position long term. Parked at the door was a multi-million-dollar Ferrari SF90, the ultimate dream of countless men. Lu Yanran casually tossed the car keys to me. Her tone was arrogant. You drive. If you drive too slow, I'm docking your pay. If you scratch it, selling you wouldn't even cover the damages. I caught the keys, a hint of amusement flashing in my eyes. Since I'm holding the steering wheel, I dictate today's rhythm. Getting into the supercar. The moment I hit the ignition in the driver's seat, the furious roar of the V8 engine blasted through the air. In the passenger seat, Lu Yanran instantly got hyped. She yelled right then and there, "Floor it, let these grocery getters see the glory of the Sichuan Chongqing Second Ring Road Queen." Expressionless, I shifted gears and pulled out. The speed steadily locked in at 40 kilometers per hour. No pushback in the seat. No Fast and Furious. A multi-million-dollar supercar was being driven by me like a senior citizen's sightseeing cart. Delivery tricycles and Wuling Hongguang minivans easily overtook us one after another. Even an old man pedaling a tricycle on the side of the road was faster than us. The taxi driver behind us couldn't help but stick his head out to mock us. Critical damage maxed out. Driving a Ferrari like an idiot. If you don't know how to drive, get off the road. Lu Yanran's excitement completely froze. Her face turned darker than the bottom of a pot. A supercar that does 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds, and you're driving at 40? Are you trying to suffocate the car? Keeping my eyes on the road. Professional attitude maxed out. City speed limits, safety first. My job responsibility is to ensure the employer's safety, not to play street racer with you. This speed allows me to handle any sudden emergencies. The risk is controllable. Lu Yanran completely lost it. Speaking without thinking, she snapped. Are you impotent or something? If you're too scared to drive, let me do it. Seeing me unmoved, she got so anxious. She reached over to grab the steering wheel. It was an incredibly dangerous move. I instantly slammed on the brakes. The car jerked to a steady halt on the road. Momentum threw her violently forward. I raised my hand and precisely blocked her forehead, preventing her from hitting the dash and getting hurt. The atmosphere in the car instantly dropped to freezing. I shed all my gentle aura. Cold and stern, I said. What you just did was extremely dangerous. Doing that at high speeds means the car gets destroyed and we die. Lu Yanran was still stubbornly clinging to her boss persona. I'm the boss. I call the shots. I unbuckled my seatbelt, opened the door, and stepped out. Then I can't do this job. I'm a butler, not a sacrificial burial object. You can be willful, but I have my professional bottom line. If you don't respect safety rules, then I don't need to earn this money. I made a move to leave, directly seizing the initiative. I knew my core value all too well. I could cure her anorexia and insomnia. Right now, I was the only one who could. I was a necessity. Naturally, I had bargaining power. Lu Yanran panicked instantly. All her anger vanished in a flash. She softened her tone, muttering quietly, I'll stop messing around, okay? I still want to eat your chow show tonight. The corners of my mouth twitched up slightly. Got her. I smoothly got back into the car. My tone returned to its gentle state. Buckle up. As Lu Yanran fastened her seatbelt, she grumbled under her breath. No one has ever dared to boss me around. You're the first. I'm remembering this. I lightly tapped the gas pedal, safely bringing the speed up to 60 kilometers per hour. The classic stick and carrot approach, perfectly controlling the workplace tug-of-war. It seems this luxury mansion workplace might just see my stock rise even higher. The car parked smoothly at the Platinum Center. A dedicated valet at the VIP parking spot immediately came up to greet us. Liu Yanran had changed into flats, shedding her road rage temper. Dressed in haute couture, her aura was fully unleashed. Passers-by couldn't stop turning their heads. I followed closely, half a step behind, maintaining the standard professional distance of a butler. The two of us headed straight for the top-floor luxury boutiques. The manager of a menswear store recognized Liu Yanran at a glance and enthusiastically came forward to welcome her. Without waiting for the manager to make small talk, Liu Yanran bossily ordered, "Pick out the new seasonal arrivals for him. Bring them all out. I want a gentlemanly style, nothing flashy or gaudy." The manager instantly understood, and immediately had the female sales associates grab the clothes. I accepted it all calmly. Taking someone's money means following their orders. It's the basic etiquette of a wage earner. 10 minutes later, I changed into a dark gray three-piece suit and stepped out of the fitting room. The advantage of my broad shoulders and narrow waist was perfectly highlighted. My vibe went from casual passerby to elite gentleman in a second. That refined scumbag aesthetic was maxed out. Inside the store, the female sales associates were completely mesmerized. The whole place went dead silent. The coffee cup in Liu Yanran's hand clattered sharply against the saucer. Behind her sunglasses, her eyes widened abruptly. Her gaze swept up and down my body, unable to hide her amazement. She was probably ecstatic on the inside. This 100K monthly salary was an absolute steal. So. A bit easier on the eyes than street stall clothes. She feigned nonchalance, sipping her coffee to forcefully maintain her boss aura. Just then, a female sales associate stepped forward, reaching out to fix my slightly crooked collar. Ha! Liu Yanran stood up instantly, slapping the associate's hand away. Her aura was terrifyingly cold. "Keep your hands to yourself. You dare touch my man?" The associate was scared stiff on the spot, backing away repeatedly. Liu Yanran turned and glared at me, her tone dripping with heavy jealousy. "You're a grown man and you can't even tie a tie? You need someone else's help?" I instantly played along, lowering my head to play the obedient, sensible employee. "Boss, you're absolutely right. Next time, I'll strictly adhere to male virtue standards." She was amused by me. Clapping her hands, she personally tied my tie. We were incredibly close. Her fingertips occasionally brushed against my Adam's apple. Our breaths intertwined, the romantic tension maxed out. "Remember, you are my personal butler. No one is allowed to touch you but me." She lowered her voice, her possessiveness exploding. "Understood. Exclusive service insulated from the outside world," I replied flawlessly. After fixing the tie, Liu Yanran directly tossed out her black card. "He's wearing this set out. Pack up the rest and send them to the car." With that, she bossily hooked her arm through mine, and we walked out of the store side by side. Just as we exited the store, my gaze swept across the area, and I spotted two familiar faces by the escalator. Lin Wan and Zhao Kuo, the two people who had looked down on me and mocked me for being unemployed. Right now, they were craning their necks, faces full of shock. My eyes darkened slightly. Looks like the face-slapping plot is arriving ahead of schedule. The air by the escalator instantly became thick and stiff. Lin Wan was holding Zhao Kuo's arm. She had just been whining coquettishly, pestering him to buy her the latest designer bag, her face full of forced sweetness. But as her eyes accidentally swept forward, she froze completely in place. The smile on her face shattered instantly. That man standing tall and straight as a pine, wearing a dark gray haute couture suit. Was that really Li Gudan? In her past memories, Li Gudan was always that down-and-out loser. A few cheap, faded t-shirts, or an ill-fitting, wrinkled, cheap suit. Even though his facial features were handsome, they were completely overshadowed by his poor, sour aura. He was completely unremarkable. But the person in front of her right now completely overturned all her impressions. A perfectly tailored suit outlined his incredible broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted physique. The fine fabric had a natural matte texture. With every movement, he exuded a natural, noble, and aloof elegance. His aura completely crushed Zhao Kuo beside her. Lin Wan subconsciously turned to look at Zhao Kuo next to her. The contrast was glaring and heart-piercing. A floral shirt paired with flashy loafer shoes. His face was puffy and dull, his eyes hiding the exhaustion and sluggishness of overindulgence. He reeked of vulgar, street-level tackiness. There wasn't a single ounce of nobility to him. Without comparison, there wouldn't be such an extreme disparity. How is this possible? He was just laid off by his company not long ago. Down and out, unemployed, he could barely even afford rent. Where did he get the capital to buy an outfit like this? Was he really kept by some top-tier rich woman? Countless questions flooded her mind. Lin Wan's gaze subconsciously followed my arm, eventually landing on Liu Yanran beside me. The woman was wearing sunglasses, her figure graceful and alluring. Even through the lenses, that overwhelming, dominant aura, and the luxury refined down to every strand of hair, made Lin Wan instantly feel ashamed of her own inferiority. A strong, inexplicable wave of sour jealousy surged in her heart. It felt like a piece of trash she had casually thrown away had been picked up by someone else, carefully polished, and transformed into a rare treasure everyone fought over. Unwillingness and extreme regret tightly coiled around her heart. Why? Lin Wan stared at me intently, frantically trying to comfort herself internally. So what if he's good-looking and knows how to sweet talk? Clinging to a rich woman is just a crooked path anyway. With no money and no power, He'll be dumped sooner or later. Just as she was lost in her daze, staring at me with burning eyes. Cold, sharp gaze suddenly locked onto her, like a piercing blade. Liu Yanran had been in a relaxed mood, holding my arm as we strolled leisurely, planning to find a fine at a restaurant that suited her taste for lunch. Even though she had anorexia, as long as the flavor was exceptional, she could always eat a little, which would allow me to replicate and improve it later. But the moment she turned her head, she accurately caught Lin Wan's gaze. Women understand women best. The probing in those eyes, the shock, the unwillingness, and that unmistakable hint of regret and jealousy. It instantly made Liu Yanran extremely pissed off. It felt like her exclusive personal property was being eyed by a thief with malicious intent. Her entire body's possessiveness and protective instincts were instantly ignited. Liu Yanran furrowed her brows, the temperature in her eyes plummeting, instantly freezing over. You've been broken up for ages, and now you're staring at my man. Where was this energy before? The fiery temper of a Sichuan Chongqing girl is carved into her bones, especially when it touches her bottom line and her exclusive property. She couldn't tolerate even a fraction of it. She raised her hand and sharply took off her sunglasses, casually stuffing them into her bag. Her exquisite, cold face was instantly covered in a chilling, murderous aura. She stepped forward, ready to confront her. But just a second before she could charge forward, a warm, steady hand suddenly grabbed her wrist. The grip wasn't heavy, but it precisely diffused all her momentum and anger. Liu Yanran looked stunned, whipping her head around to look at me. My expression was calm, my eyes clear. I didn't even glance at the two people by the escalator. I just gently held her wrist and said in a perfectly even tone, "That's enough." As my words fell, I directly led her to turn around, walking toward the nearby express elevator. My steps were unhurried, without a single moment of hesitation. It was as if the two people spying on us from behind were nothing more than two invisible telephone poles, not even worth mentioning. Liu Yanran was completely dumbfounded. The next second, the anger in her heart instantly changed direction, aiming entirely at me. She struggled hard, twisting her wrist. Lowering her voice, her tone was aggressive, yet aggrieved. "Li Gudan, let go of me. Is there something wrong with your head? That woman was staring at you like that, and you're not mad at all? Are you still harboring feelings for her?" The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Alarm bells rang wildly in her head. She gritted her teeth inwardly. If he dares to admit it, I'll break his legs right here and now. I'll make him cook for me from a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I let her struggle, calmly pressing the down button for the elevator. The only sound left was the faint humming of the elevator. I let go of her wrist. I raised my hand and gently smoothed out my slightly wrinkled cuffs. My tone was indifferent. "I'm not mad. There's no need to get worked up over two irrelevant passersby. Ling Wan giving up on me is her loss. If she's living a miserable life now, that's her own choice. It has nothing to do with me. Besides, Zhao Kuo's steps are weak and unsteady, and he has dark circles under his eyes. One look and you can tell his body is completely hollowed out. Ling Wan following him is destined to never have a stable, good life. She's already pathetic enough. Why should I bother stooping to her level?" Liu Yanran froze in place, staring blankly at me. Her brain couldn't process it for a moment. This logic sounded absurd, yet somehow made perfect sense, but the anger in her heart hadn't completely dissipated. She glared at me, puffing her cheeks, her chest heaving slightly. "Then why did you stop me?" I was just about to go up there and scold her until she wanted to crawl into a hole. "Those who are grateful to me, I will never disturb." With a ding, the elevator doors slowly opened. I stepped aside and made a pleased gesture, looking at her flushed, angry cheeks. My eyes were serious and earnest. "I did it for your own good." Liu Yanran pointed at her own nose, laughing out of sheer anger. "You stopped me from cursing someone out, and that's for my own good? What kind of gangster logic is that?" The two of us stepped into the elevator. I pressed the button for the basement floor. Looking at our reflections in the mirrored walls, I slowly began to explain. Medical research shows that when women get angry frequently, excessive emotional fluctuations can easily lead to endocrine disorders. Long-term rage and anxiety directly affect breast health, highly increasing the chances of breast hyperplasia and breast nodules, getting sick over two irrelevant strangers, and ruining your own body. President Liu, that's just a terrible deal. My tone was serious, every word clear and articulate, as earnest as if I were giving a work presentation or an academic report. Liu Yanran instantly deflated like a tire with its valve pulled out. All her pent-up anger leaked out with a hiss, vanishing completely. Breast hyperplasia? She instinctively looked down, her gaze landing on her own outstanding curves. Today's haute couture dress was tailored to fit perfectly, flawlessly outlining her figure. Perky, full, and absolutely impeccable. It had always been an asset she was proud of. She immediately straightened her back, stubbornly retorting, "What nonsense are you spouting? My body is perfectly healthy. My annual checkups are completely normal. Where would I get hyperplasia from?" As soon as the words left her mouth, she whipped her head around to glare at me, her eyes instantly turning dangerous. "Li Guden, are you questioning my figure? Do you think I'm not perfect enough?" I kept my eyes on the floor numbers ahead, remaining completely unbothered by her outburst. My tone was open and innocent. "I've never touched them, so how would I know if there's hyperplasia?" Pausing for a moment, I met her gaze through the elevator mirror, and added with a straight face, "I was merely stating objective medical facts." The elevator instantly fell into a bizarre 2-second silence. The next second, Lu Yanran's cheeks flushed red at a visible speed. The crimson hue spread all the way from her neck to the tips of her ears, burning hot. Never touch them, the words sounded shocking, yet carried an inexplicable, teasing ambiguity. It sent her heart into a flustered panic, as if a kitten's paw had gently scratched the tip of her heart. It was a tingling, itchy sensation. She was both shy and annoyed, with a hint of inexplicable jealousy. Pfft, hooligan. She hurriedly averted her gaze, deliberately pretending to be fierce. Never touch them. Is that because you want to touch them? Looking all serious on the outside, but thinking such dirty thoughts on the inside, I shrugged lightly, my tone flat. Then I don't want to touch them. Lu Yanran. She instantly froze. Her mind roared frantically. You actually had that thought, you audacious peasant? Meanwhile, the cold AC at the mall escalator blew endlessly. People came and went in the breeze, surrounded by the hustle and bustle. Yet, it couldn't blow away the heat and bitterness in Ling Wan's heart. Her feet felt as heavy as lead, rooted firmly to the spot. The noisy chatter around her blurred into nothingness. Replaying over and over in her mind was only my calm, upright back from moments ago. That tailored haute couture suit fit perfectly, exuding a naturally noble and aloof aura. It completely washed away his former ordinary down-and-out self, making him so dazzling she didn't dare look directly at him. Ling Wan subconsciously gripped her entry-level luxury bag tighter. Its 38,000 yuan price tag had made her so proud, just yesterday, making her want to show it off to everyone. But right now, it felt incredibly scorching to hold. She had just seen it with her own eyes. Lu Yanran was dressed in a simple outfit, without any extra accessories, but just a single diamond earring on her ear was probably worth far more than this bag. This wasn't just a gap in wealth, it was an insurmountable class divide. Her throat felt like it was pierced by a fine needle, unable to swallow, unable to spit it out. Layers of bitterness and regret surged in her heart. She turned to look at Zhao Kuo beside her, trying to find a little comfort in him, only to find him staring down at his phone the entire time, his fingers tapping rapidly on the screen, replying to someone's message. His face was completely devoid of emotion. Given Zhao Kuo's usual arrogant and domineering temper, being ignored and outclassed by a luxury car should have made him jump in a furious rage long ago. But today, he was unusually calm. So calm that it made Lin Wan panic inwardly. Brother Kuo. Lin Wan probed weakly. Li Guden, he's too arrogant. He used to be just a regular wage slave, but now that he's clinging to a sugar mommy, he dares to give you attitude. Should we what? Find someone to teach him a lesson? Zhao Kuo finally put away his phone and turned his head, his puffy eyes carrying a hint of mockery and disdain. Lin Wan, is there something wrong with your brain? Lin Wan instantly froze, at a loss for words. That Ferrari SF90 had a sequential license plate. Zhao Kuo looked up at the ceiling, his tone flat but carrying a heavy weight. In the Chengdu area, the people who can drive a car like that and act so casually at the entrance of this place can be counted on one hand. That woman just now was the eldest daughter of the Lu family, Lu Yanran. Boom! Ling Wan's face instantly turned deathly pale, all the color draining from it. She couldn't believe it no matter what. That woman backing Li Guden up, with such stunning elegance, was actually with the heiress of the top-tier wealthy Lu family, a down-and-out loser who got laid off and lost his job. What right did he have to climb up such a top-tier social ladder? Monstrous jealousy spread wildly like weeds, tightly wrapping around her heart, suffocating her until she couldn't breathe. Zhao Kuo looked at her devastated expression, a fleeting trace of disgust flashing in his eyes. He had long seen through Lin Wan's true nature. Shallow, vain, and money-grubbing. Whenever she saw a better option, her heart would easily waver. If it weren't for her pure and innocent looks and having a bit of beauty, he wouldn't even bother humoring her. Let's go. Zhao Kuo casually patted her shoulder, his touch dismissive. There are some circles you don't even have the right to peek into. Even a single glance can bring disaster upon you. Now that Li Guden has latched onto the Lu family, just pretend you don't know him. Don't overestimate yourself and provoke him. And don't drag me down with you. After saying that, Zhao Kuo turned and walked away, without pausing for a second. He didn't even wait for Lin Wan, who was still frozen in place. Lin Wan hurriedly snapped back to reality, chasing after him clumsily in her high heels, her footsteps a chaotic mess. Meanwhile, Zhao Kuo, walking ahead, had already made up his mind. Lin Wan's value had plummeted. Not only had the novelty worn off, but she had also almost caused trouble for him. He'd just play with her for a few more days and find an excuse to dump her. Women like her were a dime a dozen at nightclubs. It wouldn't be a pity to lose her at all. Inside the underground parking garage, the red Ferrari smoothly pulled out of its spot, weaving through the traffic. Lu Yanran rested her chin on one hand, her side profile facing the window. Her brows were tightly furrowed, looking completely preoccupied. Her fingertips tapped unconsciously against the glass, the erratic rhythm completely exposing her flustered and awkward state of mind. Those two sentences from the elevator looped endlessly in her head. I've never touched them. Then I don't want to touch them. The more Lu Yanran thought about it, the angrier she got. Her heart felt both stifled and itchy. She looked down to inspect her own figure. Outstanding curves, a perfect body. Since she was young, countless men had flocked to her like ducks to water, dying for just one more glance. 1 inch closer. Yet this Li Guden actually dared to say he didn't want to. Is he blind, or is he just addicted to playing hard to get? He's definitely faking it. Lu Yanran cursed him viciously in her heart, Men are all hypocritical pigs, saying no with their mouths, but dying to stick to you in their hearts, trying to play mind games with me. He's way too green for that. She turned her head to look at me, seeing me staring straight ahead, focused on driving. With that calm side profile, the awkwardness in her heart deepened. At this moment, I had absolutely no mind to figure out her little thoughts. My head was full of serious business. Lu Yanren had anorexia and a weak constitution, along with severe hypoglycemia. Shopping just now had drained her energy, and her face was already turning pale. She needed to eat something light and nourishing for her stomach ASAP, something that could also stimulate her appetite to replenish her strength. I had already searched the nearby area in advance for the highest-rated, time-honored herbal soup pot restaurant. Their specialty was a health-nourishing chicken soup. The broth was rich and additive-free, warm, nourishing, and soothing for the stomach. It perfectly suited her constitution. Moreover, their dipping sauce was unique, able to neutralize the blandness of the clear broth. It could satisfy cravings without hurting the spleen and stomach. After unlocking the system rules last night, I had already figured out the skill mechanics. All abilities started at the Grandmaster level. With God-level Sichuan cuisine mastery, I could master everything by analogy. Improving home-cooked meals and herbal soups was a piece of cake. If worst came to worst, I could just borrow the restaurant's kitchen and adjust it myself. Li Gudan. Lu Yanran broke the silence first, her tone carrying a hint of probing and tsundere pride. Are you regretting the nonsense you spouted earlier? If you beg me nicely right now, I might just show some mercy and let you. I spoke up, directly interrupting her fantasy. My tone was calm. There's a good time-honored herbal chicken soup place up ahead. The broth is warm and nourishing, and the dipping sauce is fresh and savory. It'll soothe your stomach and satisfy your cravings. Let's fill your stomach first, so you'll have the energy to let your imagination run wild. Lu Yanran's flirtatious thoughts were instantly shut down completely. She almost choked on a breath caught in her chest. She gritted her teeth in anger, going crazy internally. She was trying to flirt and banter with him, and he was discussing chicken soup for the stomach. Is her charm really inferior to a pot of chicken soup? The car pulled up smoothly in front of the antique-looking restaurant. I unbuckled my seatbelt and turned to her. We're here. Let's get out and eat. Lu Yanren took a deep breath, holding in a stomach full of anger. She unbuckled her seatbelt with heavy, aggressive movements. I'm going to eat you into bankruptcy today. You're paying for this meal. I smiled and nodded. Whatever you say. You have my salary card, swipe it all you want. Those words instantly smoothed over most of her temper. After getting out of the car, she naturally linked her arm through mine, pouting proudly. That's more like it. If it doesn't taste good, just wait for me to scold you. Don't worry. If it doesn't suit your taste, I'll borrow their kitchen and cook for you myself. I replied calmly. Lu Yanren's brows instantly relaxed, and she nodded proudly, full of anticipation. This old-school herbal soup restaurant was hidden in a courtyard house next to Kwanjai Alley. It had no flashy signboards, only 2 red lanterns at the entrance, swaying gently in the wind. It was quaint and tranquil. The waiter led us through a quiet, secluded courtyard, and into a private room named Listening to the Rain. The windows were one-way frosted glass with excellent soundproofing, maximizing privacy. I gentlemanly pulled out a chair for Lu Yanren, waiting for her to sit before taking the seat opposite her. Less than 2 minutes later, a charcoal copper pot was brought to the table. The broth inside bubbled, emitting a fine, hot steam. It was milky white and clear, with a few red dates, goji berries, and angelica root floating on top. It looked warm and nourishing, but just one look at it made Lu Yanran's face completely darken. The entire pot of soup was completely clean. Not a single drop of red chili oil, not a hint of spiciness. It was absurdly bland. She stared at the soup pot, her brows tied into a dead knot, her face full of resistance. Li Guden, you brought me here to eat this. Her tone was filled with extreme disgust. What's the difference between this stuff and dishwater? Is this even meant for human consumption? She slammed her chopsticks down with a smack, crossed her arms, and leaned back, looking exactly like a spoiled, unreasonable young miss. Without chili, my mouth is going to taste like cardboard. Even if I starve to death or jump out of here, I absolutely won't take a single bite. I have no appetite. Just looking at it makes me want to throw up. As a native of Sichuan and Chongqing, Lu Yanren couldn't live without spicy food. To her, a meal without numbing spice wasn't a meal at all. Coupled with her severe anorexia, this kind of bland, clear soup not only failed to stimulate her appetite, but actually made her stomach churn with acid. I watched her throw a tantrum and act out, looking completely resistant. My heart remained completely unbothered. It was entirely expected. She wasn't truly resisting eating. She clearly just wanted to see if I, her exclusive butler, could solve her anorexia problem and coax her into eating. I didn't waste words trying to persuade her, nor did I give the cliché drink more hot water advice. I just calmly dropped 2 words. Wait here. With that, I got up, pushed the door open, and left the private room. At the end of the corridor was the self-service condiment station. Various seasoning bottles and jars were neatly arranged, a dazzling array of choices. My eyes quickly swept over all the ingredients. In my mind, the god-level Sichuan cuisine mastery instantly activated, precisely matching the optimal recipe. To cure her anorexia and pry open her taste buds, I had to achieve spicy in the mouth, warm in the stomach, using mild stimulation to awaken her numb sense of taste without being so spicy that it hurt her stomach. I needed to precisely trick her brain into activating her appetite. I picked up an empty bowl and began mixing methodically. First, a large spoonful of finely minced bird's eye chili for fresh, spicy flavor. As long as the chili seeds weren't crushed, it wouldn't cause dry heat or hurt the stomach. The spiciness would only linger on the tip of the tongue. Next, 2 spoonfuls of crispy fried soybeans to enrich the texture, adding aroma and flavor. Then, a handful of bright green cilantro and chopped scallions to brighten the color. The most crucial step was balancing the seasoning. I avoided the heavy red chili oil, adding an appropriate amount of aged vinegar to stimulate the appetite and cut through the grease, and a pinch of white sugar to neutralize the spice and elevate the fresh sweetness. Finally, I drizzled the restaurant's secret light soy sauce to enhance the umami. I didn't stir it at all. The red, green, and yellow layers were distinct. Just looking at it made one's mouth water. The domineering aroma of sour and spicy notes overflowed. I carried the special dipping sauce back to the private room. At this moment, Liu Yanran was still sulking by herself, her fingertips unconsciously picking at the tablecloth, looking utterly helpless. The rich, sour, spicy, and scallion aroma hit her face. Her nose twitched slightly, and her eyes drifted uncontrollably toward the dipping bowl in my hand. "What is that?" Her tone carried a hint of curiosity, her tsundere posture already loosening. "A magic weapon to trick your mouth." I picked up the serving chopsticks and picked up a piece of soft, slow-cooked, fall-off-the-bone free-range chicken from the pot. The chicken's skin was golden and glossy, the meat white, tender, and delicate. I gently rolled the chicken in the dipping sauce, coating it evenly with the juice. The bird's eye chili, scallions, and soybeans stuck firmly to the meat. It looked oily, fresh, and bright, with a mouth-watering aroma. I placed the chicken onto her plate, explaining patiently, "The vinegar and sugar enhance the flavor and cut the grease. The mild spice stimulates the appetite without causing dry heat. It gives a kick to the tip of your tongue, but stays warm in your stomach. It's just enough to explode your taste buds without hurting your body. Try it." Liu Yanran stared at the chicken on her plate. 2 little people were frantically tugging at each other in her mind. One side was stubborn and refused to admit defeat, while the other couldn't resist the ultimate temptation of the aroma. In the end, appetite triumphed over pride. She carefully picked up the meat and put it in her mouth. As her teeth gently bit down, her taste buds instantly exploded. The refreshing tang of the aged vinegar, the fresh spice of the bird's eye chili, and the crispiness of the soybeans, layers of flavor intertwined and collided, completely bringing out the pure, fresh sweetness of the chicken itself. The first bite was satisfyingly sour and spicy, and swallowing it felt warm and soothing to the stomach. There was not a hint of greasiness or blandness. Liu Yanran's pupils suddenly lit up. Without even having time to speak, she quickly chewed and swallowed. The next second, her chopsticks flew toward the soup pot. Piece after piece, she simply couldn't stop. In less than 5 minutes, a small pile of chicken bones had piled up in front of her. Eating to her heart's content, fine beads of sweat seeped out on her forehead. A wave of heat swept through her entire body. She simply raised her hands and took off her expensive haute couture suit jacket, casually draping it over the back of her chair. Underneath was a black silk camisole, slender and form-fitting. Her right-angled shoulders were delicate and beautiful, her collarbones deep and pronounced, and her skin as white as snow. As she continuously reached for more food, the curves of her chest were faintly visible, incredibly alluring. At this moment, she had long lost the aloof aura of a female business CEO. She was exactly like a Sichuan girl who had completely surrendered to good food. A little chili pepper with zero image, yet so vibrant and tempting. "Li Gudan, this is too good. So good." Her mouth was stuffed with meat, her words muffled and unclear, her eyes full of amazement. "Give me that chicken leg, and dip it in more vinegar." "Hurry up," I smiled, scooping up the tender chicken leg and placing it in her bowl. I handed her a tissue. "Wipe your sweat, your makeup is smudging. Let it smudge. Eating my fill is more important." She didn't care at all, directly grabbing the chicken leg with both hands and taking huge bites, her mouth dripping with oil, unrestrained and genuine. I sat opposite her, slowly sipping the clear soup, quietly watching her completely unguarded appearance. Who would have thought that the rumored decisive, aloof, and unapproachable eldest daughter of the Liu family was actually this gluttonous and cute in private? However, it also confirmed my judgment. To capture a person, first capture their stomach. That's all, as you find the right pain point. Even the most aloof boss can turn into a docile kitten. Only after she had eaten and drunk her fill did Liu Yanran finally let out a long sigh of satisfaction. Leaning lazily against the back of her chair, her lower belly bulged slightly. Her face was full of satisfaction and comfort. She narrowed her eyes, lazy and content, like a well-fed cat basking in the sun. Her gaze was slightly glazed over, carrying a bit of that post-meal lethargy. "Li Guden, I, an anorexia patient, am literally in a carb coma today." The AC in the private room hummed softly, blowing away the lingering heat of the food. The atmosphere was peaceful and relaxed. Liu Yanran was completely slumped in her chair, her whole body limp, her expression lazy. The acid reflux that had plagued her for days, along with that empty, anxious feeling, had completely vanished. Her stomach was warm and toasty, and she was so comfortable she didn't want to move a muscle. But the aftermath of excessive carb intake was hitting hard. Her blood sugar spiked, leaving her brain short on oxygen. Her eyelids felt as heavy as lead weights, and her head was groggy and swollen. She had officially entered a carb coma. Li Gudan, she called out to me weakly, her voice soft and sluggish. As I put down my teacup and looked at her, she said, "Pay the bill." She pointed a finger at her bag on the corner of the table. "The card is inside. Password is 6/8. I seriously can't move. I feel like I'm floating." I stood up, grabbed her bag, and waved the store manager over. The manager was a shrewd, worldly middle-aged man. He instantly recognized the weight of that black card. He bowed a respectful 90 degrees, taking it with the utmost humility. It was the absolute VIP god of wealth treatment. After quickly settling the bill, the manager respectfully handed the black card back with both hands. He also took the opportunity to present an exquisitely packaged, high-end gift box. Smiling brightly, he said, "Miss Liu, this is a small token of our appreciation, featuring our newly arrived premium blood bird's nest. May it nourish your health and keep your complexion radiant." Liu Yanran didn't even bat an eyelid. Right now, all she wanted to do was sleep. The premium tonics she usually sought after held absolutely zero appeal at this moment. She waved her hand dismissively, pointing casually at me. "I don't need it. Give it to him. Take it home for a midnight snack and nourish your body." I reached out and took the gift box. It was heavy, and the packaging was exquisitely luxurious. I didn't even have to think about it to know. This box of premium blood bird's nest was worth at least 5 figures. It's just that. The phrase, "nourish your body," sounded weirdly awkward to me. Who was it last night that, while getting a relaxing massage from me, spent the whole time howling and begging for mercy because I pressed too hard? How did I end up being the one who needs nourishing? Still, a reward from the boss is a reward. I'll just list it on a secondhand app later. That's another chunk of extra income. I tucked the gift box under my arm and reached out to gently support the sluggish, limp Liu Yanran. "Get up and walk a bit to digest. Otherwise, you'll get nauseous and want to throw up in the car. You're so nagging. Are you the reincarnation of a monk?" She grumbled and complained, but obediently stood up. More than half of her body weight naturally leaned against me. She was completely relying on me. We walked slowly, out of the restaurant and back to the Ferrari parked by the curb. The moment Liu Yanran sat in the passenger seat, before she even had time to buckle her seatbelt, her head tilted to the side. In less than 3 seconds, her breathing became long and even. She had fallen fast asleep. The carb coma combined with her chronic insomnia and sleep deprivation. With this double buff active, she slept completely defenseless, shedding all her sharp edges and guard. I turned my head and glanced at her. The usually domineering and arrogant young miss now had a gentle expression, her lips slightly parted. Stripped of all her aggressiveness, she looked like a little girl who needed careful pampering. I thoughtfully turned the AC up 2 degrees and adjusted the vents away, so the cold air wouldn't blow directly on her face and make her catch a cold. Right at that moment, suddenly in my mind, a crisp system notification chimed. Detected that host's target, Liu Yanran, has shown significant improvement in stomach conditioning. Anorexia symptoms effectively alleviated. Exclusive reward issued. Master-level plant knowledge. Skill description. Mastery of global plant habits, maintenance techniques, and landscape spatial aesthetics. Peak proficiency upon acquisition. Can bring deadwood back to life and create landscapes barehanded. A massive influx of botanical knowledge, pairing techniques, and care essentials instantly flooded my mind. I completely absorbed and mastered it all. My fingertips paused slightly, and a flash of pleasant surprise crossed my eyes. This reward was truly an unexpected bonus. It perfectly matched the task Liu Yanran had given me earlier, purchasing potted plants for the villa's landscaping needs. With this master-level skill, not only could I pick out the highest quality plants, but I could also perfectly match them to the villa's space, creating a top-tier, textured landscape. I could completely fulfill the client's demands to the absolute extreme. I immediately took out my phone and set the destination. Sansheng Township Flower and Bird Market. This was the largest flower and plant distribution center in the Sichuan-Chongqing area. It had a complete range of varieties and high-cost performance. I could pick out the best quality split-leaf monsteras, Ficus lyrata, as well as asparagus ferns and podocarpus pines suitable for the study. The Ferrari's V8 engine roared softly as I smoothly merged into the afternoon traffic, keeping the speed steady. The gentle ride was exceptionally hypnotic, as I was afraid of disturbing the sleeping person in the passenger seat. Half an hour later, the car left the bustling downtown area. The surrounding high-rises faded away, replaced by a strong, down-to-earth street vibe. Luxury cars became a rare sight on the road, while tricycles loaded with flowers, plants, and dirt could be seen everywhere. The air was mixed with the dampness of soil, the fresh scent of flowers and grass, and the bustling noise of the local streets. I found a spacious, flat spot by the road to park. Just ahead was the market entrance, where vehicles couldn't pass. Just as I unbuckled my seatbelt, Liu Yanran shifted beside me. She groggily opened her eyes, her vision blurry, and looked out the window with sleepy, confused eyes. What met her eyes were no longer the glamorous high-rises of the business district, but shabby greenhouses, tricycles everywhere, and working-class pedestrians in undershirts. The ground even had muddy puddles. Liu Yanran instantly sobered up. Her eyes grew vigilant, her face full of shock. "Where are we?" She turned and glared at me, her tone laced with panic. "Li Gudan, are you trying to kidnap me to the countryside and sell me for cash?" I felt helpless inside, but on the surface, I remained calm and composed. "You're overthinking it, Boss Liu. Your net worth is too high. No one would dare buy you, and no one could afford you anyway. Lu Yanran froze for a second. Her groggy brain processed that for a moment, and she instantly mistook it as me praising her for being precious. The vigilance in her heart vanished immediately, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. Then why did you bring me to such a dirty, messy place? She looked at the street scene outside with disgust, her face full of resistance as she watched an old man picking his feet by the road. I raised my hand and pointed at the flower greenhouses ahead. The split-leaf monsteras and large foliage plants you requested last night. This is the source market. It has the most complete varieties, so we can pick the ones with the best appearance and texture, and the best value for money. The road outside is dirty and full of puddles, and your shoes aren't meant for the mud. Just wait for me in the car. I'll finish the shopping and be back in 20 minutes. Having thoughtfully arranged everything, I pushed the car door open, ready to get out. But behind me, Lu Yanran suddenly spoke up, calling out, "Hold on." She quickly unbuckled her seatbelt, grabbed her sunglasses, and slapped them on. With crisp, decisive movements, she pushed the door open and stepped out. "Since you're buying plants for me, I'm going to pick them out myself on the spot. What if you buy me 2 pots of rotten weeds and try to fool me with them? Lead the way." Today, I was forced to accompany Lu Yanran to check in at the Sanqing Township Flower and Bird Market. It was basically unpaid overtime for a corporate slave. The environment here was absolutely abysmal. The ground was muddy and waterlogged, and the crowd was ridiculously packed. It was the epitome of working-class rat race. The weekend uncles and aunties here had off-the-charts combat power. They darted and weaved through the crowd, forcibly turning the narrow path into a morning rush-hour subway. I couldn't be bothered to squeeze through, so I used my size advantage to block and clear a path, forcibly carving out an exclusive VIP lane through the sea of people, specifically to escort Lu Yanran behind me. Lu Yanran, in her exquisite white dress, stood out ridiculously in this drab, dusty market. A few old men huddled together, whispering, but their volume was as loud as a public announcement. Their eyes locked onto her like searchlights. The usually decisive and ruthless female boss was completely out of her element here. Feeling entirely uncomfortable, she quietly shrank behind me and reached out to grip the hem of my shirt. Listening to her muttered complaints, I could only roast her in my head. The dry cleaning bill for her outfit alone would cost more than half my monthly salary. If she got even a speck of dirt on it, I'd basically be working for free this month. I instinctively raised my arms to block, activating full Omni escort mode. Darting tricycles, kids running wild, and swaying carrying poles with baskets. I kept them all at least a meter away. To put it bluntly, today I was a full-time bodyguard and exclusive path-clearing tool, providing a complete closed-loop protection system. Escorting her all the way through the crowd, I spoke up to interrupt her wild thoughts. "We're here. The potted plant section is just ahead." Lu Yanran instantly switched back to her aloof persona. She let go of my shirt, straightened her posture, and put on a do-not-approach face. She scanned the stalls, her gaze suddenly locking onto one spot. She pointed over. It was a 2-meter-tall money tree, decorated with red ribbons and copper coin ornaments. It was tacky, truly tacky, but it was also genuinely festive. Business people, in the end, can never escape the allure of auspicious symbolism. Lu Yanran walked straight up to ask the price. The vendor with a handlebar mustache looked up and sized her up. Seeing her exquisite outfit and wealthy aura, a glint of cunning calculation instantly flashed in his eyes. Yep, this guy was treating Lu Yanran like a walking ATM, a pure, gullible fat sheep. He immediately stood up and started boasting, hyping up this ordinary money tree as his shop's ultimate treasure. He unleashed a full barrage of wealth and prosperity sales pitches. Finally, he held up a hand gesture and casually dropped an astronomical price. Destiny price, 8,888. For great luck and prosperity. My eyebrow twitched on the spot. That really opened my eyes. As an insider, I saw through the scam instantly. A money tree of this size goes for $1,000 tops on the market. This boss just marked it up 8 times over, butchering the customer with absolutely no bottom line. Just as I was about to speak up and expose him, Lu Yanran had already crisply agreed to it. To her, a few $1,000 was just pocket change. As long as the symbolism was good and it looked prestigious, she wouldn't even blink at spending the money. She casually pulled out her black card, ready to close the deal on the spot. The vendor was already blooming with joy inside. He was probably secretly laughing that someone was actually taking this rotten tree off his hands. Today's sales quota was instantly overfulfilled. My eyelid twitched watching this. This wasn't buying a plant. This was purely paying an idiot tax. If I wasn't here to cover for her, she'd eventually squander her entire fortune through sheer incompetence. Just as the card was about to be handed over, I reached out and grabbed Lu Yanran's wrist, forcefully intercepting the transaction. "Hold on," I said coldly. The atmosphere instantly froze. The vendor's smile stiffened on his face. He glared at me, annoyed, and demanded, "What's the meaning of this?" Lu Yanran also looked completely confused. She turned to me. "Is there a problem?" I ignored the vendor's hostility, stepped forward, and stood in front of the money tree. The next second, the omnipotent system's botanical data flooded my mind. The underlying truth was laid bare before me. I reached out and picked off the moss, covering the base of the trunk. With a casual peel, a piece of bark fell right off. The wood inside was blackened and rotting. A faint, sour stench of decay wafted out. It was rotten to the core. I dusted the debris off my hands, stared at the vendor who was now breaking into a cold sweat, and let out a cold sneer. Taking a diseased tree with completely rotted roots, ready to drop dead at any moment, and calling it your shop's ultimate treasure. And you have the nerve to ask for 8,888. Do you think just because we dress nicely, we're just stupid and loaded with cash? Having his scam exposed on the spot, the handlebar-mustached vendor's face instantly fell. He panicked internally watching my actions, but catching sight of the gathering crowd out of the corner of his eye, he immediately forced himself to act tough. After all, this was his home turf. He was going all in on controlling the narrative. Young man, you need evidence when you speak. The vendor slammed his teacup down, cranking his volume to the max, and activated his victim-blaming mode, transporting it over thousands of kilometers. Isn't a little bump and scrape just normal wear and tear? You see a tiny scratch on the bark and start spreading rumors that my tree is rotten? You're clearly just looking for trouble. Truly a seasoned veteran of the market. Using the classic PR tactic of shifting the blame, he turned to the crowd of uncles and aunties, playing the victim and fanning the flames. He threw out one trick after another. He kept insisting he was an honest merchant who had worked hard for years and had a stellar reputation. Then he subtly implied that Lu Yanran and I, dressed so flashily, were using our wealth to bully others. If you can't afford it, don't maliciously slander me and ruin my livelihood. This emotional outburst landed perfectly. The crowd, already harboring a bit of resentment toward the rich, was instantly swayed. The uncles and aunties who were just neutrally watching the drama immediately turned their guns on us. Young people these days get a little money and let it go to their heads. So petty. If you're not buying, just leave. There's no need to intentionally screw over a small vendor. The murmurs of accusation buzzed around us, as annoying as a swarm of flies. I remained calm, my heart completely unbothered. After years of corporate rat races and taking the blame, I'd seen plenty of public opinion mobs. This little scene wasn't enough to make my mentality collapse. I didn't care, but Lu Yanran couldn't stand it. She was usually high and mighty. When had she ever suffered such indiscriminate slander? Not to mention, these people were dragging me down with her. In her mind, I was her exclusive employee. Only she was allowed to roast me. Outsiders didn't have the right to say a single word. All of you, shut up. Lu Yanran ripped off her sunglasses, her peach blossom eyes blazing with fury. Her aura instantly crushed the entire crowd. She couldn't be bothered to argue with these random bystanders. She just pulled out a thick stack of crisp red bills. Judging by the thickness, it was over 10,000. A rich woman's logic is simple and brutal. If a problem can be solved with a budget, never waste your breath. She shoved the money right in the vendor's face, her presence fierce. 10,000 bucks to shut your filthy mouth. And the rest of you, if you dare gossip one more word, I'll sue you all for defamation. The vendor stared at the fistful of cash, his eyes glowing with greed. His victim persona instantly crumbled. The corners of his mouth curled up wildly as he reached out to take the money. Just as he was about to grab it, I raised my hand and precisely intercepted him. I grabbed Lu Yanran's wrist, pushed it down, and said, "Put the money away." My tone was flat, but it carried an undeniable, oppressive weight. Lu Yanran's chest heaved with anger. She looked completely defiant. They were insulting you. It's just a few idle words. No harm done. I pulled her behind me, my professional butler instincts kicking into overdrive. But we are not spending a single cent of idiot tax. Protecting your assets is my core KPI. With that, I stepped forward, directly facing that fake money tree. I extended my index finger and pressed it lightly against the seemingly intact bark of the trunk. Everyone, look closely at who is actually faking it and scamming people. As my words fell, my fingertips suddenly exerted force. The supposedly hard trunk was like tofu. I poked right through it with a single finger. The noisy crowd instantly went dead silent. Everyone froze on the spot, expressionless. I hooked my finger under the bark and violently ripped it downward. A huge chunk of bark was torn right off. Black, rotten wood chips spilled all over the ground. A fermented, sour stench of decay instantly exploded outward. It was comparable to half-a-month-old kitchen waste. Maximum lethality. An auntie standing too close immediately covered her mouth and gagged. Lu Yanran also instinctively stepped back. The undeniable truth was completely exposed. There wasn't a single bit of normal wood tissue inside the trunk. It was entirely a blackened, rotting core, mixed with wet sawdust, wriggling white grubs, and yellow fluid, constantly oozing out. The vendor's face instantly turned deathly pale. He started stuttering, This is an accident. I didn't give him a chance to whitewash it. I raised my foot and viciously kicked the so-called high-end purple clay pot. The pot shattered violently, completely spilling its guts. What purple clay pot? It was just a cheap, painted plaster fake. There wasn't a speck of potting soil inside. It was entirely filled with styrofoam, yellow mud, and heavy rocks to weigh it down. The most outrageous part was the base of the tree's roots. The cut was flat and smooth. The taproot had been completely sawed off. Not even a single root hair was left. It was purely a defective product. Its roots severed, kept alive on life support. The entire crowd was dead silent. The uncles and aunties who had just been cyberbullying me in real life all stood there with their mouths wide open, so embarrassed, their toes were curling into the dirt. I calmly dusted the debris off my hands and started an insider's educational lecture, precisely dismantling all his tricks. This is a classic amputation tree in the industry, a standard tactic merchants use to harvest leeks. Saw off the taproot, soak it in chemical preservatives, and force it to survive on the remaining nutrients in the trunk. It looks lush and leafy, but it's actually an empty shell overdrawing its life cycle. Buy it, and the leaves turn yellow in half a month. In a month, the core rots. It's a 100% guaranteed death sentence. Add in the cheap pot and garbage filler materials, and the cost of this entire tree is less than $100. I turned to look at the vendor, whose mentality had completely collapsed. My tone was ice cold. A piece of trash that costs less than $100, and you dare ask for 8,888? That sentence instantly detonated the crowd. The onlookers' emotions instantly flipped. All their previous accusations turned into pure rage, accurately bombarding the vendor. Black-hearted scammer. No one of the plants I bought before always died. Refund my money. You have to give us an explanation. The crowd instantly rioted. A few old men stepped right up, ready to flip his stall to defend their rights. The vendor was completely surrounded. His face turned the color of pig liver. He pathetically covered his head and dodged, all his previous arrogance completely gone. Amidst the chaotic crowd, I calmly took out a wet wipe, and slowly, methodically wiped my fingers clean. I was steady as a rock the entire time, radiating an aura of absolute control. Beside me, Lu Yanran was stunned. The look in her eyes quietly changed. Before, she only thought I was good at cooking and massages, at best a skilled piece of eye candy. She never expected that I'd even have these niche plant tricks figured out so thoroughly. My professionalism was off the charts. At this moment, her heart inexplicably skipped a beat. A subtle, starry gleam quietly rippled in her eyes. I gathered my thoughts and turned to look at her spacing out. Boss Lu, what are you spacing out for? Lu Yanran suddenly snapped back to reality. She instinctively asked, where to? I glanced at the messy, ruined stall on the ground and said flatly, let's go. This black-hearted vendor isn't making a single cent here. I couldn't be bothered to look at that scammer again. I raised my hand and pointed to an obscure little shop deep in the market. That storefront was ridiculously shabby. The sign was half falling off, and it looked completely unpresentable. An old man smoking a dry pipe was squatting at the door. He was running his stall with a zen attitude, not shouting or soliciting customers at all. But experts know what to look for, while amateurs just watch the show. That pot of ficus lyrata at his door. Its roots had long since fully established themselves, and the potting soil had been steadily cultivated for at least 5 years. It was a genuinely top-quality piece. I grabbed Lu Yanran's wrist directly and strode forward. Since we're already here, we might as well clear out all the good stuff. Lu Yanran obediently let me lead her, looking at my confident side profile. The corners of her mouth quietly curled up. Udin, you sure know a lot, don't you? I didn't even turn my head. It's all about maintaining my professional persona, just the basic skills of a high-end butler. Give you a compliment and it goes straight to your head. Lu Yanran sounded disdainful, but her steps were incredibly light and bouncy. Help me haggle later. I have money, but I absolutely refuse to pay the idiot tax. I deliberately dragged out my tone. That might be a little tough. Lu Yanran was instantly confused. With you here, we can still get scammed? I let out a clear laugh and delivered a precise roast. No matter how good your martial arts are, you can't protect a fat pig ready for the New Year's slaughter. The air instantly went quiet. Lu Yanran's brain crashed for 2 seconds on the spot. Anger rushed straight to her head. Are you calling me a pig? You're dead. I immediately sped up and bolted, leaving her a full body length behind. Get back here. I'm counting to 3. The brief chase and roughhousing ended, and the scene entered the confession phase. Do you admit your mistake? I do. What did you do wrong? I shouldn't have made random comparisons. Shut up. Lu Yanran, carrying her bag, raised her hand, and started pummeling my arm. She looked fierce and aggressive, but her punches were as soft as a tickle. I extremely cooperatively shrank back and dodged, wearing a flattering smile. Tired from hitting me, Lu Yanran glared at me, panting. She threw out a harsh threat. If you dare make random comparisons again, I'll deduct your performance bonus directly. I immediately raised my hands in surrender, showing full submission. Boss Lu is mighty. I won't dare do it again. After fooling around, we finally walked into this rundown little shop. The middle-aged shop owner was wearing a traditional shirt, slowly puffing on a dry tobacco pipe. Seeing us come in, he wasn't enthusiastic at all, just faintly lifting his eyelids. I didn't bother with pleasantries either, and accurately pointed out the best hidden gems in the shop. Boss, this pot of fiddle leaf fig, these 2 pots of monstera, and that pot of bird of paradise. How much for the whole bundle? The uncle instantly perked up, his eyes full of surprise. Anyone who knows their stuff can tell at a glance that these pots are all well-cultivated premium plants. Their root systems are solid and stable. Compared to the mass-produced greenhouse plants outside, which look glamorous but are actually fragile, they are on a completely different level. You're an expert, young man. The uncle knocked the ash out of his pipe and gave a straightforward quote. I don't scam people who know their goods. This whole pile, pots and soil included, $2,000 for the bundle. This price completely smashed through the bottom line. Full of sincerity. Thanks, uncle. Please call a truck to deliver them to our door. Straightforward. Come back often. At 4 p.m., a small delivery truck followed Lu Yanran's Ferrari and parked steadily at the entrance of the villa. The driver unloaded the plants and left right away. The final work of moving and arranging them fell entirely on my shoulders. Just that pot of fiddle leaf fig alone weighed a solid 100 pounds with the soil. It was incredibly heavy. I looked down at the custom-tailored suit I was wearing. If this suit got dirty, snagged, or ripped, given Liu Yanran's personality, my performance bonus for this month would instantly drop to 0. To protect my wallet, I decisively took action. I raised my hands, took off my suit jacket, and hung it neatly on the coat rack in the entryway. My slender fingers quickly undid my tie and put it away. I unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of my shirt, faintly revealing the lines of my collarbones. Then I rolled my sleeves up to my elbows. The whole set of movements was smooth and flowing, clean and crisp. On the living room sofa, Liu Yanran, who had originally planned to be a chill supervisor and slack off the whole time, instantly stared blankly. Her gaze was like it was glued, locked dead onto my body, unable to look away. I didn't notice her strange reaction at all. I walked straight up to the giant potted plant, half squatted down, and wrapped my arms steadily around the heavy cement pot. I focused my energy, let out a low grunt, and exerted my strength. The originally loose white shirt instantly pulled tight. The muscle lines on my back were sharp and smooth, full of tension. Even through the fabric, you could feel the bursting sense of power. The veins on my forearms bulged slightly, wrapping around the firm muscles. Hormones practically exploded in the air. A faint swallowing sound came from behind me. Liu Yanran was completely dumbfounded. The guy who usually looked gentle and refined in his suit, looking like a pale scholar, was actually this built under his jacket. I steadily carried the flower pot, walking into the living room with firm steps. Fine beads of sweat slid down the side of my face, gliding past my sharp jawline, rolling over my bobbing Adam's apple, and finally disappearing into my open collar. The ambiguous atmosphere in the living room was about to explode. Liu Yanran's cheeks burned. She hurriedly gulped down some ice water to cool off, screaming, "Save me!" Internally, how did I never notice this guy was so hot before? For the next half hour, I efficiently arranged everything. The monstera was placed next to the sofa, maximizing the rainforest vibe. The bird of paradise was set in the entryway, with staggered heights and full of good symbolism. Every placement was precise and well thought out, not blocking any walkways, and extremely aesthetically pleasing. It perfectly captured the spatial style. The empty, cold villa instantly radiated a high-end vitality. This was the all-around capability of my Grandmaster-level plant knowledge on full display. Once everything was set up, I stood up straight and let out a long breath. Most of my shirt was soaked with sweat, clinging tightly to my back, clearly outlining the curve of my spine. I casually wiped the sweat from my forehead, walked over to the sofa, and leaned over to look at the spaced-out Liu Yanran. "Boss, time to inspect the results. Are you satisfied with this arrangement?" Liu Yanran's heart violently skipped a beat. She didn't dare look me in the eye at all. Her gaze darted around nervously. She put on her domineering female CEO persona and cleared her throat. Ahem, it's just so-so. Compared to how bare it was before, it's barely a little more pleasing to the eye. She hurriedly pulled out 2 tissues and handed them over in a fluster. "Hurry up and wipe your sweat. You're all wet and dripping. People who don't know might think I'm exploiting my employees." I took the tissues and casually wiped my neck, smiling as I thanked her. "Thanks for caring, boss." I glanced up at the clock. It's almost 5 p.m. The sticky, sweaty feeling all over my body was extremely uncomfortable. "Boss Liu, the work is done. I'm going to take a shower. It's almost dinner time." Going into the kitchen, smelling like sweat is disrespectful to the ingredients. At this moment, Liu Yanran was still secretly checking out my faintly visible abdominal lines. Hearing the word shower, her brain instantly lost control. Water flowing over a wet body, tight muscle lines. All sorts of rated images wildly flooded her mind. She was screaming internally, but on the surface, she could only force herself to act calm. Wrapping up dinner, I finished stir-frying the last dish of greens, took off my apron, and brought the food to the table. Just as I finished setting the bowls and chopsticks, the bathroom door behind me clicked open softly. The scent of warm steam and body wash drifted out first. Liu Yanran slowly walked out. She had just finished showering. Her long, wet hair hung loosely over her shoulders, completely unstyled. Crystal-clear water droplets slid from the tips of her hair down her delicate collarbones, disappearing into her deep black silk nightgown. The fabric of the gown was as thin as cicada wings. Clinging tightly to her body after getting wet, it outlined her incredibly striking shaped curves for all to see. The most eye-catching part, however, was that pair of long legs. Her skin, steamed by the hot water, glowed with a translucent pink, as white and tender as a peeled lychee. The texture was absolutely flawless. Stepping in pink, fluffy slippers, with every step she took, her slender calves swayed gently. It was lazy, yet incredibly seductive. This visual impact was simply off the charts. Good thing my self-control was online. Any ordinary man would probably have a massive nosebleed, and completely lose his mind on the spot. Liu Yanran sniffed the air, her eyes hazy and ambiguous. It was hard to tell if she was craving the food or craving me. She casually pulled out a chair and sat down, completely dropping her bossy CEO act. She sat cross-legged, and the hem of her nightgown naturally slipped down, revealing a large expanse of fair skin. It left plenty to the imagination. After taking a small sip of the hot soup, she narrowed her eyes in comfort. Then she remembered something important. "Oh, right. Tomorrow is Monday," she said casually while picking up some food. "There's a bunch of trivial stuff to handle at the company. I have to go in. I'll most likely be working late." The motion of me serving rice didn't stop. My professional butler etiquette was on full display. Understood. I'll prepare breakfast in advance, and I'll personally deliver your lunch. I looked up at her, perfectly grasping the core issue. The company cafeteria food is too oily and salty, and takeout hygiene isn't guaranteed. Your stomach has just gotten a little better. It can't handle the torment. Lu Yanren paused her eating. Her peach blossom eyes instantly lit up, and the corners of her mouth curled up uncontrollably. Her eyes were filled with the relief of, this child is teachable. Not bad, Guden. You're getting more and more sensible. As expected of a gold medal butler with a 100K monthly salary, your workplace awareness is maxed out. In a good mood, Lu Yanren immediately decided to be generous. Today I was running around the market with her and doing heavy lifting. I efficiently completed all tasks from start to finish. My performance definitely deserved a reward. She put down her chopsticks and leaned back to stretch her waist, putting her perfect waist-to-hip ratio on full display. Walking around all day today, my legs are practically ruined. She gently rubbed her calves, a hint of mischief flashing in her eyes. After dinner, I'll give you an exclusive reward. A half-hour overtime massage session. The air instantly fell silent. I maintained a calm smile on the surface while interrupting his screaming and roasting her. Reward? This is clearly forced overtime. Top-tier exploitation. I woke up early to cook today, accompanied her on fieldwork, arranged plants barehanded, and did heavy lifting. My arms are still sore and numb. Shouldn't a normal reward be no overtime today? Getting off work early to rest. Adding a half-hour massage is purely unpaid extra labor. Seeing me silent and spacing out, Lu Yanran raised an eyebrow, her domineering CEO aura instantly coming online. Why aren't you saying anything? She tilted her head slightly, perfectly nailing the vibe. You don't like my reward? I took a deep breath, rapidly weighing the pros and cons. Talking back and acting tough equals losing my job and getting my bonus docked. Swallowing my pride equals securing my high salary and continuing to live the good life. I hesitated for only 0.01 seconds before compromising at the speed of light. I love it. It's my honor to serve Boss Lu. Lu Yanran snorted proudly and naturally stretched out her long legs. Since you like it, I'll let you get a closer look. She pointed her toes hard, drawing an incredibly smooth arc under the light. The hem of her skirt naturally slipped down. The visual was absolutely explosive. It carried naked, flaunting, and provocation. The people who want to suck up and admire these legs of mine could line up all the way to France. These proportions, these lines. This is the authentic top-tier legs for days. She gently wiggled her foot, delicate, slender ankles, perfect arches, and pink toes like finely carved warm jade. See clearly? This is what you call top-tier jade feet, giving you a free overtime experience. Other people couldn't get this treatment even if they threw millions at me. And you're still not satisfied? Lu Yanran looked completely justified. Her eyes practically screamed. Consider yourself lucky, kid. My gaze drifted out of control and landed right on those top-tier long legs. Objectively speaking, even though Lu Yanran has an explosive temper, her physical assets are absolutely god-tier. Her legs are perfectly proportioned and slender. Her skin is fair and flawless. Whether visually or to the touch, it's an ultimate perk. But my brain went into overdrive, running a rapid risk assessment. These beautiful jade-like feet might be a feast for the eyes, but the risk is incredibly high. I learned last night during the massage that she has a ridiculously low pain tolerance. If I press even slightly on a sore acute point, her reflex reaction is massive. Adding an extra half hour, according to probability calculations, the chances of my handsome face getting kicked squarely by those jade feet would skyrocket by 3 times. As I was secretly calculating this, an extremely dangerous thought suddenly popped into my head. If I really got brushed against by those soft, sweet, top-tier jade feet, or even kicked, this kind of violent interaction mixed with an ambiguous fragrance actually wouldn't seem like a bad deal. I shook my head violently, using centrifugal force to throw out that ridiculous thought. Wake up, Guden. You're a proper employee here to make money. You're not here to indulge in immersive fan service. This is clearly high-intensity overtime with a risk of work injury. It's absolute exploitation. But if she really does kick me, should I dodge or not? 10 p.m. The dishwasher indicator light turned from red to green. The sterilization process was successfully completed. I dried the last piece of bone china, put the plates back in their place, washed my hands thoroughly, making sure there wasn't a single drop of dish soap left. The exclusive overtime session, the boss's exclusive massage service, was officially online. I walked up the spiral staircase to the master bedroom on the 2nd floor. The door was left slightly ajar. I raised my hand and knocked twice on the door. Come in. A muffled voice called out from inside, clearly coming from someone with their face buried in a pillow. Pushing the door open and entering, the room only had one warm floor lamp on. The light was dim and soft. Lu Yanren was lying flat on her stomach on the 2-meter-wide bed. The hem of her silk nightgown was pulled up to the base of her thighs. My footsteps subconsciously paused for half a second. I have to say, the length of these legs and the firmness of the lines were absolutely ceiling-level hardware specs. I walked to the bedside and asked softly, "Boss Lu, ready to begin?" Lu Yanran turned her head, her hair messy, her peach blossom eyes half closed, lazy and with a bit of a temper. You talk too much nonsense. Hurry up. I want to sleep after the massage. I chuckled and nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed. I poured out some essential oil and rubbed it warm in my palms. Let's get this straight first. Later, the pressure will be a bit heavy. It's to knead away the lactic acid built up from walking all day. This is precise physical therapy. My palms pressed against her calves. A cool, delicate sensation immediately hit me. Her muscles were tight and stiff, showing obvious signs of fatigue. Sitting at a desk all year round, and frequently wearing high heels for inspections, these legs had long been operating on overload. I started with broad strokes using the heels of my palms to warm up, relaxing the tight muscles, gradually building up the rhythm. Liu Yanran instantly let out a soft sigh of comfort. So good. Press a little harder. I raised an eyebrow. Is she questioning my professional ability? Fine. Customer needs come first. My fingertips landed precisely on the Changshan acupoint on her calf. This is a disaster zone for fatigue buildup, and also a critical hit spot for pain. Just a slight test, and Liu Yanran's toes subconsciously curled, visibly sensitive. Seeing this, I directly increased the pressure by 30%. My knuckles dug in deep, targeting the deep muscle knots. Liu Yanran suddenly tensed her entire body, arching like a fully drawn bow. She lifted her head half an inch, then slammed it back into the pillow. The foot that was casually wiggling just a moment ago instantly went rigid. Her toes dug fiercely into the bed sheets. Her stress response froze in place. A piercing, aching soreness spread from her calf throughout her entire body. It felt like a wooden stick was repeatedly churning inside her muscle. But the stubbornness of a spicy Sichuan girl wouldn't allow her to admit defeat. She had to maintain her pride at all costs. She absolutely couldn't embarrass herself by crying out in pain in front of me. I caught a glimpse of the bulging veins on the back of her neck and considerately slowed my movements. Is the pressure too heavy to handle? Just say the word. I can adjust at any time. Liu Yanran gritted her back teeth fiercely, forcing herself to act calm. Heavy? Who are you looking down on? This little bit of pressure is like a tickle. Haven't you eaten? She talked tough, but her body was very honest. She was trembling slightly all over, completely unable to hide it. Finally, she didn't forget to throw in a provocation. Gudan, are you just weak? The corners of my mouth curled into a dangerous arc. The boss proactively making a request gets full marks. The employee must satisfy it with all his might. Playing tough? Huh. Then let's go straight to max pressure. I stopped wasting words. My palms slid up her calves, past her knee pits, and landed on the gallbladder meridian acupoints on her outer thighs. Sitting for long periods with a lack of exercise, the meridians here were completely blocked up. It was the absolute ceiling of agonizingly good critical hits. I precisely locked onto the Fengshi acupoint, calculating the angle and force. Boss Liu, hold on tight. As my words fell, my wrists suddenly exerted force. My thumbs drove deep directly into the acupoint. Boom! An overwhelming, numbing soreness instantly exploded, rushing straight up her nerves to her cerebral cortex. Liu Yanran's rationality, pride, and stubbornness instantly collapsed across the board. Her brain completely short-circuited for a moment. Her bodily instincts completely took over control. An uncontrollable, soft cry slipped from her lips. Her right leg kicked back violently. That pair of pink, delicate, perfectly textured, fragrant little feet carried the force of breaking wind, locking precisely onto my face. Actually, I'd already anticipated her stress response, but an absurd thought suddenly popped into my head. It made my body freeze for 0.1 second. Getting kicked in the face by these top-tier jade feet. What kind of experience is it exactly? It was this fleeting hesitation that made me take the hit head-on. Smack! A soft, gentle sensation landed perfectly. The sole of Liu Yanran's pink foot was planted solidly against my nose, bridge, and left cheek. Time instantly stood still. The warm yellow light spilled across the dead, silent room. The atmosphere was ambiguous to the extreme. I subconsciously raised my hand and grabbed her foot. Her sole was still resting firmly against the side of my face. Liu Yanran was completely stunned. She lay frozen on the bed for several seconds, her peach blossom eyes wide open, filled with disbelief. She actually kicked her own butler in the face. Boom! A wave of shame instantly swept over her entire body. Her cheeks turned as red as a cooked shrimp. Her temperature skyrocketed, far exceeding when she was taking a bath. Like a startled little rabbit, she violently yanked her long leg back, panicked and embarrassed. Why didn't you dodge? After stammering a couple of words, she completely broke down. She grabbed the blanket and pulled it over herself from head to toe, rolling herself up into a round silkworm chrysalis. Only a tuft of messy hair was left sticking out. A muffled, frantic voice came from under the covers. Are you a block of wood? You don't know how to dodge at all. I touched the bridge of my nose, internally screaming. Absurd. This is just too absurd. This workplace injury came completely out of nowhere. The key point is, the force wasn't heavy. It only left a soft, sweet-smelling sensation, not hurting in the slightest. I calmly stood up, picked up a wet wipe, and slowly wiped my cheek clean, acting as composed as if nothing had happened. Boss Liu, your reflexes are excellent, and your leg muscle tension is sufficient. It seems this physical therapy session was highly effective. Your meridians are completely unblocked. The little silkworm chrysalis under the covers instantly shrank even tighter, playing dead completely and not making a sound. I walked to the door and put my hand on the light switch, softly reminding her, breakfast will be ready right on time at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Good night, Boss Liu. Click. The lights went out. I closed the door and left the room. The hallway fell completely silent. Only then did I raise my hand to touch my left cheek. The lingering soft sensation just wouldn't fade away. A faint, delicate fragrance still hung in the air. Something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong. I shook my head, tossing aside the distracting thoughts, and pushed open the door to the guest room. Host's condition detected as optimal. Mood, joyful. Exclusive reward issued. God-tier first-class styling skill. Skill description. Unlocks top-tier fashion aesthetics. Effortlessly master all kinds of fashion styles. The ultimate cure for tacky outfits. Comprehensively elevates appearance and aura. The lights in the master bedroom went out. The room was pitch black. Lu Yanran was curled up in bed, tightly wrapped in her blanket, looking exactly like a stuffed spring roll, tossing and turning, completely unable to sleep. The scene from earlier was playing on an endless loop in her mind. All she could think about was the sensation of that accidental kick, soft and warm. It was so awkward she could dig a 3-bedroom apartment with her toes. She raised her hand and touched the sole of her foot. Her cheeks were burning so hot you could literally fry an egg on them. Why is that idiot so completely clueless? Wait, could he have done it on purpose? Lu Yanran buried her face deep into the pillow, desperately trying to cool down and justify it to herself. It's not my fault. It's all his fault. His massage technique is just too insane. It made me so sore that it triggered a natural reflex. I completely lost control, but the very next second, the stubborn, provocative words she had blurted out suddenly flashed through her mind. Guden, are you impotent or something? Lu Yanran's mind instantly exploded. She kicked her legs wildly in the bed. Ugh, so annoying. So what if I said it? He doesn't know the first thing about treating a woman right. He deserved to get kicked. Stubbornness aside, she still couldn't help but wonder. My soft foot shouldn't have hurt him too much, right? Just like that. Her mind raced with wild thoughts, endlessly overthinking. She agonized for a whole hour straight. Finally, Lu Yanran shot up from the bed like a spring. Her mental state had completely collapsed. Damn it, Guden, you bastard. You gave me straight-up insomnia. The next morning, at exactly 7 a.m., I clocked in on time, kicking off a brand new day as a working man. Breakfast was a carefully prepared, stomach-nourishing millet and pumpkin porridge, paired with refreshing seasonal vegetables, plus a steamer basket of freshly leavened dough, steamed fresh meat soup dumplings, light and gentle on the spleen and stomach, while still satisfying that carb craving. Perfectly tailored to Lu Yanran's current dietary needs. By 7:50, breakfast was completely ready, but upstairs was still dead, silent, not a single sound. Today is Monday. Lu Yanran has a core executive meeting this morning. It's an absolutely critical task. We definitely can't mess this up. I dried my hands and took off my apron, and headed upstairs to wake her. The master bedroom curtains were drawn tight. The room was dim and gloomy. The lump under the blankets on the bed wasn't moving at all. She was fast asleep. I walked over to the bed, and softly reminded her, Boss Lu, it's time to get up. Zero response. Instead, she wrapped the blanket even tighter around herself, looking like she'd rather die than get out of bed. A muffled, soft grumble came from under the covers, dripping with heavy morning crankiness. I don't want to get up. So annoying. Just let the company go bankrupt. I'm not going to work. I wisely kept my mouth shut, not daring to reply. The usual Boss Lu, I could handle. But a crazy female boss with morning crankiness, her lethality is maxed out. Last night, I only got kicked in the face. If I talk back today, I'll probably suffer a full-on physical combo attack. My frail body can't handle that. I decisively turned and walked toward the master bedroom's connected exclusive walk-in closet. The moment I pushed the door open, the sensor lights flicked on automatically. Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still absolutely blown away. How is this a closet? This is literally a downtown SKP luxury boutique, moved entirely into her house. An entire wall of Hermes bags, arranged by color gradient. Both sides were lined with this season's haute couture. Every single piece was worth a fortune. The glass island in the center was filled with dazzling jewelry, screaming the word expensive from every angle. If an ordinary person walked in here, they'd probably be completely overwhelmed and incredibly stiff, but I didn't panic at all. The next second, the god-tier first-class styling skill instantly activated. My aesthetic system came fully online. My eyes acted like a precision scanner, rapidly browsing through every single clothing item. The core logic for a Monday executive meeting outfit. Not flashy, not cheap. A steady aura that commands the room. Too colorful looks frivolous. Too plain won't uphold the status of a CEO. My gaze simply swept across the racks and accurately locked onto the optimal choice. A sharply tailored off-white wool suit. Crisp silhouette, premium, and timeless. Paired with a deep emerald green silk shirt underneath. Vintage and luxurious, it perfectly brightens the complexion, balancing out the thinness of the white. Accessories should be minimalist. Just a simple pearl brooch to accent the collar. Low-key yet exquisite. For shoes, 5-centimeter nude, lambskin pointed heels, flattering the leg shape and elongating the proportions. Comfortable enough for commuting and long meetings without tiring the feet. The entire outfit was assembled. I laid it out neatly on the sofa bench at the foot of the bed, sharp, high class, and radiating absolute boss energy. Then I went downstairs and packed the breakfast into a thermos. The whole process was methodical and steady, efficient and reliable. When I returned to the bedroom, Lu Yanran was still fiercely battling the Monday 8 a.m. struggle, refusing to get out of bed. I leaned over, raised my hands, and gently pressed my thumbs against her temples. Using professional techniques, I slowly massaged in circular motions, without applying heavy pressure, relying solely on a soft touch to soothe her fatigue. Lu Yanran let out a comfortable hum. Her tightly knit brows slowly relaxed. Her sky-high morning crankiness dissipated significantly. Striking while the iron was hot, I whispered a reminder. Boss, It's 8 o'clock. Your outfit is ready. Perfectly suited for today's meeting, Aura. Breakfast is packed. You can eat it when you get to the office. If you get up and wash up now, you'll make it just in time for the morning meeting. If you stay in bed for another 5 minutes, you'll be straight up late. It's 8 a.m. Lu Yanran instantly woke up at full HP. She sprang up from the bed like a coiled spring. All the awkwardness and embarrassment from last night were instantly thrown out the window. She slipped on her slippers and bolted straight for the bathroom. 10 minutes later, she was fully dressed and ready to go, carrying the pink thermos. She clicked her heels and rushed out the villa's front door. A black Maybach was already waiting punctually at the entrance. The car window slowly rolled down, revealing the figure of Uncle Wang, the Lu family's veteran driver. Uncle Wang usually drove for Father Lu year-round. He only came over specifically on Mondays to pick up Lu Yanran. There was no helping it. Lu Yanran's explosive temper was just too lethal. Ordinary drivers couldn't last a month before quitting en masse. Uncle Wang, step on it. I'm gonna be late. Lu Yanran swiftly pulled the door open, got in, and urged him. Uncle Wang glanced up toward the doorway, standing tall and straight, without the humble stiffness of an ordinary employee, poised, confident, and offering a slight nod. I responded with a polite nod. Lu Yi had already mentioned it to Uncle Wang earlier. This new young butler really has some skills. The Maybach started smoothly and drove out of the villa district, disappearing into the distance. I watched the car leave, without a single moment of slacking off. I turned back into the house to prepare lunch. The morning routine was just the basic. The nutritious lunch is the real main event for securing my position and elevating my standing as a core employee. Meanwhile, at the suburban Chinese-style estate, Lu Garden. This is the Lu family's private residence, serene and tranquil, full of elegance. Lu Yi, dressed in a proper gray skirt suit, walked familiarly into the courtyard's tea room. Sandalwood incense curled gracefully in the tea room. The atmosphere was quiet and solemn. The helmsman of the Lu group, Lu Changshen, was sitting at the tea table, intently peeling an orange. This heavyweight figure in the Sichuan Chongqing real estate world, a big shot who could shake the industry with a stomp of his foot. The meticulousness with which he peeled that orange was comparable to finalizing a multi-billion-dollar contract. He accurately handed the perfectly peeled orange wedge to the elegant lady reading a magazine beside him, Lin Yue. Honey, try a piece. Lin Yue didn't even lift her head. She casually commented, a bit sour. I'll switch varieties next time. I promise it'll suit your taste. Lu Changshin instantly retracted his big shot aura and transformed into a doting, hen-pecked husband in a second. With a docile attitude, Lu Yi stood at the door. Used to the sight, she calmly stepped forward and bowed, Master, Madam. The moment Lu Changshan turned his head, the gentle filter vanished. He immediately reverted to the majestic and steady demeanor of a superior. How's the situation? That girl hasn't torn the house down these past 2 days, has she? He knew his daughter's T-Rex temper all too well. He was terrified she was wreaking havoc at home again. Liu Yi took 2 steps forward and methodically, clearly reported everything that had happened over the past 2 days. She specifically highlighted the boiled fish I made, the precisely stomach-nourishing 3-meal plans, and the highly professional massage therapy techniques. Mrs. Appetite has visibly improved. Her previous picky eating and anorexia have gotten much better. She practically finished that entire plate of boiled fish. She almost mixed her rice with the broth too. Her complexion has gotten much rosier these past 2 days, and her mood has stabilized significantly. Hearing this, Lu Changshin's face filled with astonishment. Then he burst into loud laughter, his eyes full of relief. Ha ha ha. Good. Fantastic. That girl has been a picky, stubborn eater since she was little. She even nitpicks the food I cook for her personally. She's never eaten a meal this solidly before. Finally, someone who can properly nurse her stomach back to health and stabilize her temper. He felt incredibly relieved. Ever since his daughter started her own business, her temper had only gotten more explosive, refusing to listen to reason or force. Every time he tried to show concern, he was brutally shut down. He had absolutely no idea how to handle her. But looking at it now, this young man named Guden really has some skills. Honey, should we lend a little hand and help this kid out a bit? Smack. Lin Yue closed her fashion magazine. She shot him a faint glance. Meddler. Yan Ran is already outstanding enough on her own. It's not your place to mess around with petty tricks behind the scenes. Lu Changshen instantly backed down and immediately smiled apologetically. Yes. Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right, honey. He turned his head and secretly shot Lu Yi a look, signaling her to keep monitoring the situation and report updates constantly. Lu Yi understood perfectly. She spoke respectfully. Rest assured, madam. Young Li has an honest gaze. He acts with propriety and knows his boundaries. He is definitely not someone eager for quick success or instant benefits. Lin Yue reopened her magazine. Her cold, elegant features softened just a bit. Her tone was calm and certain. Then let him do his job well, as long as he can take good care of Yanran. The Lu family will absolutely not mistreat him. Back in the villa's kitchen, the morning light streamed through the window, bathing the room in a bright, clear glow. I held my custom chef's knife. The cold, sharp blade flashed with a glint of icy light in the sun. On the cutting board lay 4 top-tier double-headed balanos, high-end ingredients that ordinary rich people couldn't even buy at auction. Absolute top-tier delicacy. Preparation requires speed, precision, and steadiness. Not a single millimeter of error is allowed. I flicked my wrist lightly. The tip of the knife precisely sliced into the skirt edge, extracting the meat and clearing the organs. The entire sequence of movements flowed like water, clean and crisp, without a single unnecessary flourish. Then, the blade lightly scored, carving an even crosshatch pattern onto the surface of the plump abalone meat. The depth of the cuts was perfectly consistent. The spacing was uniform, as exquisite as if measured by a precision tool. The god-tier Sichuan cuisine, mastery, fully buffed my muscle memory, taking over every operation. Even when handling these ingredients, worth hundreds of thousands, my mindset remained completely steady, without the slightest ripple of anxiety. For lunch, I'm making golden broth abalone, paired with a refreshing lotus pond stir-fry. It cuts through the richness and nourishes the stomach. I took the cleaned abalones and placed them into the broth that had been simmering all night, a rich, golden, thick old hen soup, to simmer gently. I sealed the clay pot tight, turned the heat down to the lowest setting, letting it slow cook over a gentle flame to lock in all the umami and nutrients. I wiped my hands and glanced at the wall clock. It was exactly 9 a.m. I wonder if that female boss, whose workplace battle armor I personally styled, is currently at the office with her aura fully unleashed, slaying everyone in her path. At the Qianyu Media Building, the morning rush hour traffic was surging. The black Maybach pulled up smoothly right at the main entrance of the office building. People were bustling in and out of the building, all of them corporate workers with lanyards, walking at a brisk pace, noisy and chaotic, full of the hustle and bustle of daily life. Uncle Wang got out and respectfully opened the rear door. The first thing to touch the ground was that 5-centimeter nude lambskin, pointed heel. The shoe's design was elegant and delicate, perfectly flattering the shape of her leg. Immediately after, Lu Yanran, with her tall and upright posture, stepped out of the car. At that very moment, the originally noisy and chaotic building entrance felt as if someone had instantly hit the mute button. Passing employees and pedestrians all subconsciously stopped or slowed their pace. Their eyes were firmly glued to her, unable to look away. Today's Lu Yanran was completely different from her usual self. Normally, she was a walking low-pressure overlord, always in her eternal black suit, paired with her cold, sharp features. Her aura was freezing. Strangers wouldn't dare come within 5 meters of her, radiating an oppressive vibe that kept everyone at 1,000 miles distance. But today, the vibe was completely flipped. Dressed in an off-white wool suit, the tailoring was sharp, the lines were clean, stripping away the heavy, cutting edge of her usual corporate look. The deep emerald green silk shirt underneath, with its vintage, premium tone, made her cool, pale skin look almost translucent and glowing. A gentle, refined elegance washed over everyone. The small pearl brooch at her collar shimmered with a soft glow in the morning light, perfectly balancing the stiffness of the suit. Luxurious yet understated. Holy crap! Is that really Boss Lu? Am I seeing things? Boss Lu looks way too gentle and gorgeous today. The receptionist clutched her ID badge, whispering frantically in a hushed voice, her eyes full of awe. But the next second, everyone's gaze suddenly froze, because that female CEO, with her maxed-out aura, who had just stunned the entire crowd, in her hand, was blatantly carrying a completely out-of-place pink thermos, a Barbie pink lunchbox, printed with childish, cute cartoon characters. With a chubby, round shape, it was 100% a lunchbox meant for a kindergartner. The extreme contrast was instantly dialed to the max. It was like a majestic, awe-inspiring, fierce Zhang Fei wielding a massive battle axe, suddenly holding a pink magical girl wand in his other hand. The dissonance was off the charts, but the absurd part was, such a comical pairing on Lu Yanran actually produced a weirdly charming Gapmo effect. Lu Yanran clearly caught all the strange looks from her surroundings. Her aloof CEO mask almost shattered on the spot. That damn Gudin. She gritted her teeth and cursed inwardly. When she left the house this morning, she was looking sharp and fierce. Her aura was flawless. But that idiot insisted on shoving this pink lunchbox into her hands and seriously nagged her, "You can't leave without breakfast. The stomach is the capital of revolution. You must eat on time to nourish your stomach," forcing her to carry this childish lunchbox and suffer social death in front of the whole company. Lu Yanran took a deep breath, forcibly steadying her mindset. As long as I'm not embarrassed, the ones who are embarrassed will be everyone else. She discreetly hid the pink lunchbox behind her back, kept her spine perfectly straight, and in her comfortable heels, walked with an arrogant, domineering stride. "Morning, Boss Lu." "Good morning, Boss Lu." Every employee along the way, whether it was a planner submitting documents or an operations staff carrying coffee, greeted her much louder and more enthusiastically than usual. Gaze after gaze stuck to her, filled with awe and admiration, reluctant to look away for a long time. God help me. The boss's outfit today is absolutely god tier. That emerald green shirt makes her look so incredibly pale and glowing, so beautiful and gentle, and her aura is so steady. Her looks and vibe are completely cheating. Lu Yanran kept her eyes straight ahead and stepped directly into the CEO's exclusive elevator. On the surface, she still maintained that cold, unapproachable demeanor, but the little person in her heart was already hands on hips, ecstatic, jumping around like crazy. So satisfying. This feels amazing. The awe in the employee's eyes couldn't be faked. This was the ultimate validation of her beauty and its aura. Ding. The elevator arrived at the top floor executive suite. Liu Yanran stepped briskly out of the elevator. Her steps were light and breezy. Pushing open the heavy mahogany doors of her office, she casually tossed her bag and the pink thermos onto the leather sofa, completely ignoring the upcoming executive meeting. She first hurried over to the oversized floor-to-ceiling mirror, twirled around, adjusted her clothes, and struck a pose. She even winked at her own reflection in the mirror. Liu Yanran secretly admired herself. Liu Yanran. Oh, Liu Yanran. How can you be this gorgeous? Knock, knock, knock. A quick, soft knocking suddenly rang out. Liu Yanran instantly dropped all her little antics, cleared her throat, straightened her posture, and smoothed out the wrinkles in her clothes, sitting steadily into her large executive chair. Come in. The door was pushed open. The crisp clack-clack of high heels sounded. A figure floated in, carrying a waft of high-end perfume. The newcomer was wearing a tight, new-season dress, with big wavy curls, looking bright and stunning, fiery red lips, and a spicy, fierce aura. Tall and eye-catching. Lisa, the co-founder of Qianyu Media, and art director. She was also the only person Liu Yanran dared to joke around with and ruthlessly roast, her best friend of many years, in the entire company. She was the only one who dared to tease Liu Yanran without any hesitation. Normally, her biggest joy in life was roasting Liu Yanran's eternal black suits, calling her outfits as rigid as a school disciplinarians. At this moment, Lisa walked in carrying an exquisite Western breakfast. The moment she looked up, she froze. She narrowed her eyes. In those highly critical eyes that had seen all of fashion was genuine, unadulterated awe. Damn. This outfit today is something else. The lean runway. A long suit paired with a vintage silk shirt. The texture is absolutely maxed out, and the placement of this pearl brooch is practically perfect. It suppresses the sharpness of the suit, while making your complexion look flawless. Lisa nodded repeatedly, sincerely praising this aesthetic taste, compared to your usual rigid outfits, is literally 3 stratospheres higher. Liu Yanran was secretly thrilled beyond belief. Even a fashion nitpicker like Lisa couldn't find a single flaw, which just goes to show how incredible Guden's eye for fashion is. Before, she only knew Guden was a great cook and a professional masseur. She never expected his fashion sense to be this overpowered too. 100,000 a month. He can cook, massage, style outfits, and manage her daily life. The cost-performance ratio is absolutely off the charts. Should I give him a raise next month? The moment the thought popped up, she immediately forced it down. No way. I absolutely cannot give him a raise. If I pay him too much, this kid will save up enough money and just run away. Where else would she find such an all-around, worry-free butler? Liu Yanran instantly regretted it so much her intestines turned green. Back then, she thought a 1-year contract was too short, so she specifically changed it to 3 years. But looking at it now, it's still too short. I have to find a chance to change it to a lifetime contract and lock this treasure of a man firmly by my side, forever exclusively mine. While she was calculating with wild joy in her heart on the surface, Liu Yanran remained cool and breezy, finding casual arrogance. I just threw this together randomly, effortlessly nailed it, and that was enough to stun you all? It just proves that my natural foundation is too good. Lisa rolled her eyes helplessly, extremely dismissive. Yeah. You're the most beautiful. You're the absolute best. You're the prettiest in the world, she said, handing over the high-end Western breakfast in her hand. You haven't eaten breakfast, right? I brought this specifically for you. Only then did Liu Yanran suddenly remember Guden's instructions. Guden specifically told her she had to eat breakfast the moment she got to the office. An empty stomach is bad for digestion. It wasn't easy nursing my stomach back to health. I can't mess it up again. She immediately turned around, grabbed the pink thermos from the sofa, and quickly twisted off the lid. The next second, a rich, mellow aroma of millet and pumpkin porridge wafted out, sweet and warming. It instantly filled the entire office. Lisa's nose twitched, instantly drawn by this healing scent. She tossed her bland breakfast without hesitation and hurried over. Smells amazing. What is this heavenly scent? Which takeout place is this good? Lisa leaned in close to Liu Yanran, her nose sniffing nonstop, greedily capturing the aroma in the air. The sweet, fruity scent of pumpkin, mixed with the mellow warmth of millet, combined with the rich, savory smell of steamed fresh meat, and its rich, fatty aroma. Layer by layer, it wafted right into her nose, completely awakening her taste buds. Her gaze moved past the top layer of the thermos, instantly locking onto the bottom layer. Plump, white little things sat in the steamer tier. 6 perfectly round and plump soup dumplings, with skin as thin as paper, translucent and crystal clear. You could faintly see the pink meat filling inside, and the clear, jiggling soup. Just looking at them made her mouth water. It smells too good. Let me just have one. Just one bite is all I need. Lisa couldn't hold back anymore, reaching out her hand with its exquisite French manicure, straight toward the pink lunchbox. Smack! A pale, slender hand suddenly slapped hers away. The strike was crisp and clean, showing absolutely no mercy. Liu Yanran smoothly wrapped her arms around it, fiercely guarding the round thermos in her embrace. She leaned back slightly, looking totally on guard, exactly like a little tiger protecting its food. Her aura was intimidating. In your dreams, she scoffed, turning her back directly to Lisa, leaving her with a cold, aloof silhouette. This is my stomach-healing patient meal. You're perfectly healthy and strong. Why are you trying to steal it? There's barely enough here. It's just the right amount for me. Guden woke up bright and early to personally simmer this, making and steaming this breakfast from scratch. Every single grain of rice, every bite of meat filling was prepared specifically for her. It belonged exclusively to her. Never mind her bestie Lisa. Even if her own dad, old Lou, showed up, he wouldn't get a single bite today. Lisa clutched the back of her hand, her face full of shock, her pupils trembling slightly. She simply couldn't believe her eyes. This person in front of her, who turned hostile over a bite of porridge and a single dumpling, guarding her food so fiercely. Was this really the generous and easygoing Liu Yanren? In the past, when they went out together, limited edition bags and jewelry worth hundreds of thousands. If Lisa so much as took a second look at them, Liu Yanran would casually give them to her, without batting an eye. And now, over a cheap, ordinary breakfast, she was drawing a hard line. Liu Yanran, you've changed. Lisa looked deeply resentful. Holding her dry, whole wheat bread, she took a vicious bite. The way she chewed looked like she was venting her anger, treating the bread like a cheating ex. 20 years of friendship. I guess it was all for nothing. You used to spoil me rotten, and now you won't even spare a sip of hot porridge. Total scumbag behavior. Save it. I'm not falling for that. Liu Yanran was completely unmoved. She curled her lips haughtily, picked up her small spoon, and scooped up the golden pumpkin millet porridge. It was soft and delicate on the tongue. The pumpkin had been simmered until it completely melted, blending perfectly into the rice broth. No chewing required. It slid warmly down her throat. Her empty stomach was instantly filled with a comforting warmth. It felt so good she couldn't help but sigh. Next, she picked up a soup dumpling. Even after a bumpy car ride, the dumpling was still perfectly plump. The skin was soft, yet chewy. Liu Yanran carefully bit a small hole in it and took a gentle sip. Slurp. The piping hot, savory broth instantly filled her mouth. The meat filling was sweet, fresh, and firm. The ratio of scallion and ginger to remove the gaminess was spot on. Savory but not greasy. The taste was absolutely perfect. Soft, warm porridge paired with a savory meat dumpling. One bite, sweet and light, the next rich and mellow. It was the ultimate cure for the early morning commute. The exhaustion of rushing to work and the cramping discomfort in her stomach were instantly and completely soothed. Liu Yanran narrowed her peach blossom eyes in comfort, her eyes full of the satisfaction of a healed soul. She had no time to entertain the drama queen Lisa beside her. Her hands moved quickly, a spoonful of porridge, then a dumpling, in a steady rhythm. Her cheeks were puffed out, looking incredibly cute and obedient as she focused on eating. Like a little hamster frantically hoarding food, she showed none of her usual aloof female CEO airs. Sitting across from her, Lisa had long since stopped chewing. She stared blankly at Liu Yanran. She knew Liu Yanran too well. Ever since Liu Yanran took over Qianyu Media, years of high stress and all-nighters, with her nerves constantly on edge, had literally driven her to severe anorexia. For years, during dinners, business banquets, and team-building events, Liu Yanran was always the one who ate the least. Her plate was always clean, barely touched by her chopsticks. Eating had always been pure torture for her. But today, seeing her wolf down her food with such obvious relish, it was like she was a completely different person. What's going on with you? Her sharp, fox-like eyes scanned Liu Yanran up and down. The suspicion in her heart grew stronger. Something's wrong. Something is very wrong. First, her fashion style completely changed, from her eternal aloof black to a gentle, elegant vintage style. Her whole vibe is completely refreshed. Then there's this totally out-of-character, childish pink aesthetic. And now, this completely different appetite. When things are this abnormal, there's definitely a catch. Yanran, Lisa probed tentatively. This porridge, these soup dumplings. Did Uncle Lou come over bright and early to make them for you? Other than her extremely doting father, she really couldn't think of anyone else who had the ability to cure Liu Yanran's anorexia and picky eating. Liu Yanran had absolutely no time to respond to her guesses. She was focused on using her little spoon to scrape the lunchbox, getting every last bit of rice oil off the inner walls. Even the tiny bits of dough stuck to the steamer tier were picked off one by one. She refused to waste a single drop of flavor. Only when the lunchbox was scraped cleaner than if it had been washed did she finally put down her spoon in satisfaction. Burp. A soft, tiny burp escaped her lips. Liu Yanran pulled a tissue and elegantly wiped her mouth, a faint blush appearing on her cheeks. Her whole body felt amazing. She felt completely refreshed. The nerves that had been tense all morning were finally relaxed. She felt full of energy, and her mind was much clearer and sharper. She gently patted her slightly rounded stomach, spacing out for a moment. Not too much. Not too little, exactly 70% full. A bowl of soft, stomach-soothing porridge, and 6 savory, filling soup dumplings. It was perfectly tailored to her weak digestive system. It satisfied her cravings without causing indigestion, placing absolutely no burden on her stomach. Liu Yanran's heart fluttered slightly. That silly guy. He probably calculated everything about her down to the last detail. Not only did he remember she had a bad stomach and preferred light, sweet, and savory flavors, but even her digestion capacity and portion sizes were perfectly measured. This feeling of being cherished, of being carefully and meticulously taken care of, it was just too comforting, too easy to fall for. As she thought about it, Liu Yanran's lips curled up uncontrollably. She couldn't hide it at all. Not bad. Gudan's performance today was a perfect score again. But then she had another thought, and frowned. This guy was making a high salary, living in her villa, with no worries about food or clothing. He wasn't lacking in money or material things at all. Giving him a house, A car or a watch seemed redundant and tacky. It wouldn't touch his heart at all. Crap. These past few days, I've just been enjoying his care, his cooking, and his massages. I haven't paid any attention to what he actually likes. Lu Yanran furrowed her brows slightly, her fingertips unconsciously tapping the desk, completely torn. Suddenly, she looked up at Lisa, who was staring at her with a probing expression. Her eyes instantly lit up. That's right. Lisa has been in the fashion industry for years. She's seen it all. She's known as the ultimate heartbreaker and man-killer in fashion. Her experience is ridiculously extensive. Asking her about what guys like is a guaranteed win. Lu Yanran cleared her throat, quickly hiding the smile on her face. She calmly put the lid back on the pink lunchbox, pretending to be completely nonchalant. Lisa, let me ask you something. Shoot. Lisa casually tossed her dry bread aside, putting on her agony and persona, brimming with confidence. Whether it's this season's fashion trends or a newly opened high-end beauty salon, I know it all. It's not about that. Lu Yanran waved her hand, her gaze drifting toward the window. Her tone was deliberately flat, pretending it was just casual chatter. I'm just asking, if there's a guy around 23 or 24, decent-looking, pretty tall. As soon as she said it, Gudin's face instantly flashed in her mind. His handsome, sharp features, his exquisite side profile dripping with sweat while moving trees yesterday, and the smooth, defined muscle lines faintly visible beneath his collar. Lu Yanran silently corrected herself. More than just decent. He's top-tier handsome. He usually seems steady and calm, reliable, meticulous, gentle, and knows his boundaries. He's just a bit stubborn and annoying sometimes, and doesn't know how to yield to a girl at all. But his skills are amazing, top-notch in every aspect. Thinking of his masterful massage techniques and incredible cooking, Lu Yanran's ears turned slightly red. She quickly cleared her throat to hide her panic. I just wanted to ask, what kind of gifts do guys like that usually prefer? What kind of gifts do guys like that usually prefer? The office instantly fell dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Lisa's eyes widened dramatically, her pupils shaking as she slammed the desk and stood up. An exaggerated gasp exploded from her. Oh my god. Yanran, you've finally seen the light. The eternal iron tree is finally blooming. You are definitely dating someone. Fess up. Who is it? She narrowed her all-seeing fox eyes, looking absolutely certain she had seen through the whole charade. I don't even have to guess. It's definitely the guy who made you breakfast. I knew there was something off about this love breakfast. You were guarding it like a maniac. You wouldn't even let your best friend of 20 years have a single bite of a dumpling. You're totally giving yourself away. There is definitely something going on. Why are you yelling? Keep your voice down. Lu Yanran, startled by her sudden loud outburst, felt her ears ringing. She instantly felt guilty and subconsciously touched her burning nose. Who's dating? Don't spread rumors. Spreading rumors is legally actionable, you know. She coughed twice to cover her panic, forcing herself to sit up straight, and defended herself seriously. He's just a normal friend. A very pure friendship. Afraid Lisa wouldn't believe her, she quickly added, trying to rationalize her abnormal behavior. If we're really defining the relationship, he's at most a deep business partner. Stop overthinking it. All right. I get it. Lisa rolled her eyes in her signature exaggerated way and slowly sat back down in her chair. On the surface, she played along, but inside, she didn't believe a single word. Normal friend? Deep business partner? Only Lu Yanran could convince herself of that. Who in their circle didn't know? The eldest daughter of the Lu family was used to being arrogant. It was always others lining up to give her gifts and curry favor. Since when did she ever take the initiative to put in so much effort to pick out a gift for a normal male friend? Seeing Lu Yanran acting so stubborn, haughty, and awkwardly innocent, Lisa's eyes were full of a wicked smile. This stage of ambiguous tension, before anything is officially declared, is the most fun. If I expose her now, it'll ruin the fun. She decided to just play along, resting her chin on her hand and offering serious advice. Okay, since he's a business partner, giving a car or a house is too flashy and tacky. It makes it look like you're a sugar mommy buying him. Though honestly, with your net worth, I think you really might be a little. Shut up and get to the point. Lu Yanran immediately glared at her, her ears turning even redder. Lisa's smile deepened. She analyzed it seriously. The point is, a gift needs thought. It needs class, practicality, and taste, something he can carry with him. So every time he sees it, he immediately thinks of you. She held up one finger and said with certainty, top choice. A watch. Men are judged by their watches, women by their bags. It's the ultimate social currency. A good watch elevates his status and aura, and the meaning behind it is extra special. Lisa deliberately leaned in closer, lowering her voice, her tone full of ambiguous temptation. Yanran, think about it. Giving a watch means buying his time. It means every minute and every second of his future is tied to you. Lu Yanran froze on the spot, her heartbeat inexplicably skipping a beat. Buying his time. Every minute and every second together. That meaning was too direct, too hard-hitting. But thinking it over carefully, it perfectly matched her intentions. When she specifically changed the 1-year contract to 3 years, wasn't it exactly to lock down Gudon's time? To make him exclusively hers? To have him serve her wholeheartedly? Plus, Gudon usually dressed clean and sharp, but his wrists were always bare. He really was missing a watch to complete his aura. An image instantly popped into her head. A top-tier luxury watch, resting on his clean wrist. While cooking, while massaging, the faint gleam of the watch catching the light every time he raised his hand. Handsome and steady. Total boss energy. Yes, this works. Lu Yanran's eyes lit up, and she nodded thoughtfully. She quickly pulled out a fountain pen from her desk and wrote 2 big words on a sticky note. Watch. What else besides a watch? She felt just a watch was too flimsy. It wasn't enough for Guden's perfect performance these past few days. The guy had top-tier cooking skills, incredible massage techniques, even helped her nail her fashion aesthetics, and even cured her insomnia and chronic anorexia. An all-around treasure like him deserved a heavy reward. Lisa stroked her chin, thinking for a moment, and added, cufflinks work too. Custom gemstone ones. Low-key, but expensive. Super classy. And ties. A normal tie is whatever, but if you tie it for him yourself, the romantic tension instantly doubles. But I still stand by a watch as the safest bet. It's the ultimate exclusive gift. Got it. Lu Yanran immediately jotted it all down. Her pen flew across the sticky note. Watch. Top choice. Cufflinks. Backup. Tie it myself. Looking at the gift list on the paper, the gears in her head were turning rapidly. Her little scheme was fully formed. Once she finished her work over the next 2 days, she'd sneak off to the boutique and get Guden a top-tier set. Once he accepted such an expensive gift from her, there was no way this man, his time, and his skills could escape her. As she thought about it, Lu Yanran couldn't help but go into crazy imagination mode. When the time came, Guden would definitely be moved to tears. He'd declare on the spot, I have wandered half my life without meeting a wise lord. If Boss Lu does not abandon me, I am willing to follow you for life. Then she'd smoothly suggest, tricking him into changing the 3-year contract into a lifetime one, cooking for her for a lifetime, massaging her for a lifetime, belonging exclusively to her for a lifetime. Trying to run away? No chance. Hee. The ultimate thrill of her fantasy rushed to her head. Liu Yanran's lips curled up wildly, completely unable to suppress her smile. Her eyes were full of a triumphant gleam. Just as she was immersed in her beautiful fantasy of binding Guden for life and having him in the palm of her hand, a rhythmic knock came from the door. Knock, knock, knock. Her assistant, Xiao Chen, poked his head in and carefully reported, Boss Lu, all the executives have arrived. The conference room is ready. We can start the meeting. Lu Yanran instantly wiped all traces of a smile from her face, switching to her domineering CEO mode in a single second. She carefully folded the sticky note with the gift list and solemnly tucked it into the inner pocket of her suit jacket, terrified of losing it. She raised her hand to adjust the collar of her dark green silk shirt. All the gentle aura around her completely faded away. The familiar sense of oppression and low pressure swept over her. Let's go. Meeting time. Lu Yanran stepped in her 5-inch heels, her strides crisp and sharp. She strode out of the office. Lisa and Xiao Chen exchanged a glance and silently followed. Neither dared to say a word the whole way. Meanwhile, in the massive, light luxury kitchen of the mid-mountain villa, clean and tidy and brightly lit, I stood in front of the kitchen counter. The ingredients had long been prepped, neatly and systematically arranged. 4 top-tier double-head abalones were quietly simmering over a low flame in a thick, golden old hen broth. A rich, savory aroma continuously rose, filling the entire kitchen. The main dish, golden broth abalone, was set. For the side, I chose a refreshing, palate-cleansing lotus pond stir-fry. I specifically adjusted the recipe for this dish, using a light Cantonese style as the base to maximize its gentle, stomach-soothing properties so it wouldn't irritate Lu Yanran's fragile stomach. At the same time, I deliberately tweaked the flavor. Right before taking it out of the wok, I drizzled a thin layer of Sichuan peppercorn oil and roasted chili oil, lightly coating it with a savory Sichuan kick. This satisfied Lu Yanran's craving for spice and her preference for Sichuan flavors, while precisely avoiding the stomach-damaging effects of heavy oil and extreme heat. It was perfectly suited to her physical condition. I glanced up at the wall clock. 9:30 a.m. Plenty of time. No need to rush at all. If I wanted to deliver the meal to her company at peak flavor, I had to time it perfectly. 10:30 a.m. Start the stir-fry. 11 a.m. Plate it and pack it in the lunchbox. 12 p.m. Arrive exactly at the office building. This guaranteed the dishes would be piping hot and at their absolute peak in taste. Extreme time management, nailing every single detail. With an hour of free time before I needed to cook, I untied my apron, hung it up, and turned toward the villa's underground private gym. Outsiders only saw the relaxed, dignified side of being a butler, but they didn't know it was a highly intensive physical job. Whether it was a full-body massage that easily lasted an hour, moving potted plants weighing over 100 pounds, or the tedious daily chores, you simply couldn't handle it without solid physical stamina, especially when serving Lu Yanran, a female boss with a volatile temper, who occasionally lashed out under stress. Physical fitness and the ability to take a hit were essential professional skills. The underground gym was fully equipped, with gear far exceeding normal commercial gyms, high-end and professional. I changed into my quick-dry workout clothes, walked over to the squat rack, and steadily adjusted the weight plates. I loaded it straight to 50 kilos, just as a starting warm-up. Gripping the bar with both hands, I lowered my hips and exerted force. The muscles in my limbs quickly engorged and tightened, my sense of power instantly maxing out. To me, lifting weights wasn't just a way to maintain my physique, it was a process of clearing my mind and grounding myself. For the first 20-odd years of my life, I hustled just to survive, living a tired and impoverished existence. Fitness was the only self-investment I had consistently maintained over the years, never once stopping. Looking at it now, the return on this investment was ridiculously high. After all, no rich woman would ever reject a guy with great stamina and an outstanding physique, able to carry and hold, an all-around butler who can serve you attentively in every way. At exactly 10 a.m., I finished my last set of dumbbell exercises. The entire routine was clean and crisp. My quick-dry shirt was soaked with sweat, clinging to my skin. My muscles ached and burned all over, but it felt incredibly refreshing. I stepped into the shower. The cold water washed over me, extinguishing the heat of my workout and instantly washing away my fatigue. I felt completely awake and sharp. After drying my hair and changing into clean casual clothes, I looked fresh and stood tall, looking sharp and clean. I picked up my phone, my fingertips pausing for a moment. Then, I dialed the number saved as Her Majesty. The phone only rang twice before it was quickly picked up. A kind, yet anxious female voice came through the receiver. "Hello, son? Hello? Calling at this hour. Are you out of money?" My mom's voice was as loud as ever, incredibly piercing. Even without putting her on speaker, she made my phone case buzz and vibrate. "If you run into any trouble out there, just say the word. Don't try to tough it out all by yourself. Your old man and I have saved up quite a bit to support you. No problem at all." Leaning against the wall in the villa's hallway, I couldn't help but smile. A sudden warmth filled my heart. That's my mom for you. No matter how I'm doing out in the world, her first reaction to my calls is always to ask if I'm hungry, if I'm broke, or if I've been wronged. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I softened my tone and said gently, "I just wanted to let you know that I changed jobs." The other end of the line went quiet for a second. "Changed?" My mom's tone instantly became cautious, laced with a bit of anxiety. "You quit that last company? You were doing so well. Why the sudden change?" "Yeah, I quit." I kept my tone light, deliberately skipping over all the miserable details. That female manager from before had a few screws loose. I couldn't be bothered to put up with her anymore. I found a new job working as a personal butler. Room and board are included, and the pay is way better than before. Getting laid off, taking the blame, the workplace drama. I didn't mention a single word of that crap. Reporting the good news and hiding the bad is a habit I've developed over the years of grinding it out on my own. A butler? My mom couldn't hide the worry in her voice. "Isn't that just waiting on people hand and foot? Won't you get bullied? If you're not happy, just come right back home. The big city might be nice, but you don't have to stay there. We might not be rich, but with your dad's pension and our steady lifestyle, we definitely won't let you starve." My nose stung a little as I listened. It felt like a lump of cotton was stuck in my throat, making it hard to breathe. This is family. No matter how exhausted I get wandering out there, there's always someone willing to be my safety net. There's always someone who, even if they had to sell everything they own, would still want to save a hot meal for me. It brings me peace. I took a deep breath, pushing down the ache in my chest. "Mom, you're really overthinking it. My current boss is actually a pretty good person." Liu Yanran's face naturally flashed through my mind. She looks fierce, always spouting harsh words in her Sichuan accent, with a temper so explosive she seems ready to blow at any second. But after spending time with her, I realized she's actually incredibly simple-minded. She gets protective of her food like a little hamster. All bark and no bite. She doesn't have a bad bone in her body. Her temper is just a bit weird, but she pays generously and never shortchanges me. "I'm really doing fine over here. Just don't worry about me, okay?" "That's good then." My mom still sounded a bit skeptical. I patiently reassured her for a long time, before finally calming her down. As we kept chatting, a soft sigh suddenly came from the other end of the line. "Guden, if you're tired, just come home. Don't push yourself too hard. I clean your room every single day. I air out your blankets all the time, so they're nice and fluffy. It's spotless and waiting for you. And your dad. He doesn't say it, but he misses you every single day." Before I even had a chance to reply, my dad's slightly defensive voice came through the receiver. I don't miss him. Stop talking nonsense." Then came a faint rustling sound, like my mom covering the receiver with her hand. The two of them bickered in hushed voices. A few seconds later, the line became clear again. My dad's feigned calm voice came through. "Guden, it's true. Dad misses you." I couldn't help but chuckle softly, then let out a gentle sigh. Ever since I graduated, I've been grinding away in this big city. Even though I haven't made it big, the distance is so far that going home has always been inconvenient. My old job paid peanuts, demanded too much, and was a stressful grind. By the weekend, I was too exhausted to even move. I barely made it back home a few times a year. I secretly made a decision in my heart. From now on, I definitely need to make more time to go home and spend time with my folks. "Dad, I miss you guys too." My tone turned serious as I spoke earnestly. "I signed a 3-year contract for this butler job. Once the 3 years are up, I'll move back to our hometown, find a stable job, and spend some real time with you both." Hearing this, my dad instantly perked up. His voice jumped an octave. "That's great. When you come back, Dad will set you up. I can't help you with jobs in the big city, but back home, everyone's an acquaintance. I know the leaders in all the local departments. Finding you a cushy job that's close to home with light hours will be a piece of cake." His voice was full of hope as he excitedly started making plans. "When the time comes, we can just kick back in the yard and share a couple of drinks. On weekends, We'll go fishing at the reservoir. Free and easy. It'll be way more comfortable than grinding in the big city. Listening to my dad paint a picture of that peaceful life, the corners of my mouth curled up unconsciously. I felt incredibly grounded. Sounds good, I replied with a smile. I'll come back to see you guys as soon as I have some free time. Just then, there was another scuffle over the phone on the other end. My mom snatched the phone away and scolded my dad in a low voice. I told you to just say you missed him and be done with it, but you just had to hog the phone and ramble on and on. The next second, her tone instantly softened as she carefully reminded me, Guden, make sure you eat well over there. Order less takeout. Go to bed early at night. If you're ever short on cash, you have to tell us. You hear me? Got it, Mom. I'll remember. Don't worry. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now. The call ended. I shoved my phone back into my pocket and glanced up at the wall clock. 10:30 a.m. Right on time to start prepping lunch. In the kitchen, the clay pot was already simmering, releasing a rich aroma. 4 double-headed abalones had soaked up the golden broth, looking bright and incredibly appetizing. I fired up another wok on high heat for a quick stir-fry. Fresh lotus root slices, crisp snow peas, and refreshing black fungus tossed rapidly in the pan until just cooked. Finally, I drizzled a spoonful of my secret Sichuan peppercorn and chili oil over it. The whole dish was crisp and refreshing, with just the right amount of numbing spice, guaranteed to cure even the pickiest of appetites. Lastly, I took out the handmade ice jelly I had prepped in the fridge, poured over some slow-boiled, thick brown sugar syrup, and sprinkled it with crushed hawthorn, raisins, and crushed peanuts. A refreshing, palate-cleansing lunch was completely ready. Next up was packing it and delivering it. I opened the cupboard. Inside was a whole cabinet full of brand-new bento boxes. The style was surprisingly uniform. An entire collection of pastel pink Hello Kitty, My Melody, and Peppa Pig. Every cute design you could imagine was in there. One look and you knew it was Lu Yanran, buying them on a whim, out of pure impulse, only to use them for 2 days before tossing them aside. I casually picked out a pink, double-layered heated bento box. The lid had 3D bunny ears sticking out of it, and it came with a matching, chubby little bunny soup thermos. It was ridiculously cute. I couldn't help but laugh helplessly. Men are boys until they die. Women are 18 until they die. That saying really is true. I carefully plated the golden broth abalone and the lotus pond stir-fry, grabbed the bento box, and walked out of the kitchen. I took the elevator straight down to the underground garage. The motion sensor lights flickered on one by one. Looking around, the garage was packed with a dazzling array of luxury cars, a sea of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, McLarens, Bugattis, Koenigsegg's, Paganis, and Aston Martins. Every top-tier supercar you could think of was here. Nestled right in the middle were a few pink sedans overflowing with girly charm. I scanned the room. Today, I was carrying soups and liquids. Those supercars with stiff chassis and rigid suspensions were an immediate pass. If I bumped all the way there, the golden broth abalone would be shaken into abalone mush. Yanran would definitely blow a fuse. My gaze finally locked onto the big guy in the corner, a pink Bentley Continental GT. The color was flashy and loud, but the suspension was comfortable, and the ride was smooth, perfect for food delivery. I walked over and pulled the door open. The luxurious leather interior greeted me, feeling refined and premium to the touch. After adjusting the seat and mirrors, I securely fastened the pink bunny bento box in the passenger seat. Then, I fired up the engine. The W12 engine let out a deep, resonant roar. The car smoothly pulled out of the villa complex. The midday sun was bright and warm. The pink chassis gleamed under the sunlight, looking like a giant strawberry candy, slowly rolling down the street. It was incredibly eye-catching. I steered with one hand, looking completely at ease. The window was rolled halfway down, letting the cool early autumn breeze flow into the car, blowing away some of the heat. Stopped at a red light. This flashy pink Bentley instantly became the center of attention on the street. Pedestrians waiting at the crosswalk all turned their heads. Everyone subconsciously assumed that the driver was either a rich heiress or a pampered trophy wife. But when they looked through the window and got a clear look at me in the driver's seat, everyone froze in shock. Simple, casual clothes. A sharp, aloof, and stoic side profile. Calm, steady eyes. One hand resting on the steering wheel, revealing a muscular, well-defined forearm. The innate masculine and grounded aura I gave off clashed completely with the car's cute, pastel pink vibe, creating an extreme contrast. Some girls on the sidewalk couldn't resist pulling out their phones to snap a picture. Holy crap, this guy. He's way too handsome. A stoic hottie driving a pink Bentley. The Gapmo is off the charts. Quick! Post it online and see if we can find his socials. What kind of god-tier visuals are these? The light turned green. I tapped the gas pedal, and the Bentley smoothly accelerated, effortlessly leaving the crowd of onlookers and photo-snapping pedestrians far behind in the dust. The pink Bentley rolled steadily over the smooth asphalt, eventually coming to a gentle stop, right in front of the grand revolving doors of Chienu Media Tower. I pushed the car door open, and a long, straight leg stepped out first. The sharply tailored casual dress pants made my legs look even more proportionate and clean. I leaned out of the car, standing tall and straight like a pine tree. My entire posture was sharp and upright. I casually slipped one hand into my pocket, while my other hand held that ridiculously cute pink bunny thermos bento box. My natural appearance was aloof and stoic, and my aura was calm and relaxed. Paired with this incredibly girly, pastel pink bento box in my hand, The extreme visual contrast was dialed up to the max. It was incredibly eye-catching. At the entrance, the security guard, who was about to respectfully open the door, suddenly froze in his tracks. His eyes went wide, completely dumbfounded on the spot. I completely ignored the various stares coming my way, my expression calm and entirely at ease. I pulled out my phone and dialed Liu Yanran's private number. The moment the call connected, a hushed, incredibly quiet female voice came through the receiver, sounding cautious, like a thief sneaking around. Hello? Hello. I'm President Liu's personal butler. I'm here to drop off her lunch. My tone was calm, stating my purpose simply and clearly. Mr. Li. The girl on the other end gave a slight shudder. Her voice was a mix of shock and panic, instantly turning incredibly respectful. I'm President Liu's assistant, Chen Qianqian. President Liu specifically told me beforehand, please don't move. Wait right there. I'll be down to get you in a second. Less than 5 minutes after hanging up, a girl with a baby face rushed out of the elevator lobby. She was wearing black-rimmed glasses, looking completely flustered, breathing a little heavily. Chen Qianqian's eyes darted around the room, instantly locking onto me in the center of the lobby. I stood out way too much, even setting aside that mind-bogglingly contrasting pink bunny bento box. Just my aloof, melancholic, and sharply contoured face was far more striking than the top idol trainees the company was currently pushing. I was a head-turner. Every employee walking by couldn't help but steal glances at me. Mr. Li, thank you for making the trip. Chen Qianqian jogged over to me, panting slightly. She hurriedly pushed up her glasses, her posture respectful yet stiff. I'm Chen Qianqian. President Liu is still in an executive meeting and can't step away right now. I'll take you upstairs to wait. Thanks for the trouble. I nodded politely, the corners of my mouth lifting slightly into a perfectly measured, gentle smile. The two of us stepped into the CEO's private elevator. As the elevator slowly ascended, the enclosed space was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Chen Qianqian silently shrank into the corner of the elevator, not daring to make a peep, but her eyes kept uncontrollably drifting toward the thermos in my hand, the same pastel pink color, the same cute bunny style. It was clearly a matching set with a bento box President Liu brought into the office this morning. They were definitely a pair. This coincidence is just too sweet. How is President Liu's mood right now? I suddenly spoke up, calmly breaking the silence in the elevator. As a personal butler, grasping the employer's emotional state immediately and accurately anticipating how to handle any situation is my most basic professional duty. Chen Qianqian's body gave a violent little jerk. Her face instantly filled with bitterness, looking like she wanted to write the word tragedy right on her forehead. Bad. To be precise, very, very bad. There was a massive error in last week's core data, and the entire PR department has been passing the buck and pointing fingers. They're just half-assing everything. President Liu just blew her top and smashed a teacup right on the spot. Her anger is terrifying. Right now, the conference room is dead silent. Everyone is quiet as a mouse. No one even dares to breathe too loudly. Whoever makes a sound is dead meat. Hearing this, my brow furrowed slightly, smashing cups. A classic sign of excessive liver fire and pent-up frustration. I just spent 2 whole days helping her nurse her stomach, regulating her sleep schedule, and improving her digestion and complexion with a light diet. This fit of explosive rage will cause her liver qi to attack her stomach, completely ruining all my hard work. That bowl of pumpkin millet porridge I carefully slow-cooked this morning was basically cooked for nothing. Liu Yanran. This woman is seriously trashing my hard work. Ding. The elevator arrived smoothly at the top-floor executive suite. The doors slowly slid open, and a thick, suffocating wave of low air pressure hit my face, instantly enveloping me. The entire top-floor office area was terrifyingly quiet. You could hear a pin drop. All the employees were walking on tiptoes, typing softly on their keyboards, and even deliberately holding their breath. They were terrified that the slightest noise would provoke the wrath of President Liu and bring fire down upon their heads. From the direction of the conference room in the distance, Liu Yanran's piercing, booming Sichuan-accented shouts echoed continuously. Her voice was full of vigor and absolute authority. This proposal is full of holes. The data is a half-assed joke. Take it back and redo the whole thing. If you dare try to fool me with this kind of garbage again, you can all pack up your desks. Get the hell out. Judging by the sheer volume of her voice, her temper is flaring and her aura is fierce, but being this hot-headed is terrible for her health. I silently completed my assessment in my head. Mr. Li, please go wait in the CEO's office for a moment. Chen Qianqian cautiously led me to the mahogany office doors, lowering her voice to repeatedly warn me, her tone filled with dread. I have to stay on standby outside the conference room. President Liu might need documents or water at any moment, so I have to be on call. Please, whatever you do, don't wander around and don't touch anything. Right now, President Liu is a highly combustible powder keg. The slightest spark will set her off. It's too dangerous. Got it. Go do your thing. I nodded faintly, not daring to linger for even a second. Chen Qianqian quickly hurried away. I reached out and pushed open the heavy mahogany doors, stepping into the spacious, luxurious CEO's office. The room was expansive, with exquisite and lavish decor. The massive floor-to-ceiling windows faced the heart of the city's CBD, offering an unobstructed view of the bustling skyline. The view was spectacular, but the first thing I noticed when I walked in wasn't the expensive ornaments in the room, or the gorgeous city view outside. My eyes locked precisely onto the corner of the office, and the few potted plants on the windowsill. The large money tree in the corner had massive yellowing leaves, curling at the edges. Its branches were tangled and overcrowded, covered in dust and drooping weakly. It looked completely malnourished, and on the verge of withering away. The succulents on the windowsill were even more pathetic. They were severely etiolated, with thin, spindly stems, twisting awkwardly like bean sprouts. They had absolutely no life or beauty to them, even though the entire office was luxurious and high-end. These few dead, dreary plants filled the room with an oppressive, gloomy atmosphere. It was completely devoid of vitality. As the Feng Shui saying goes, when the wealth corner sees rot, fortune is blocked, and energy decays. For a business person like Lu Yanren, who is deeply entrenched in the corporate world and highly values luck and energy, this was an absolute taboo. More importantly, spending long hours in such a dull, oppressive environment makes a person irritable and emotionally congested. It would only worsen her chronic anorexia and insomnia. It did 100 times more harm than good. I gently set the pink bunny bento box down on the coffee table, casually rolling up my sleeves to reveal my lean, muscular forearms. Since I'm already here, I might as well tidy this up for her. I walked over to the money tree. Grandmaster level botanical knowledge instantly activated in my mind. Pruning, maintenance, water control, ventilation, styling, and soil drainage. All this professional information seamlessly integrated in my head. This money tree actually had a great foundation. It just hadn't been properly cared for in a long time. Waterlogged roots, poor ventilation, and overcrowded branches fighting for nutrients were what caused it to wither and yellow. I dug out a pair of gardening shears from a nearby tool cabinet. My cuts were clean and decisive, without a single moment of hesitation. Snip. Dead branches and withered leaves fell to the floor. In just 10 short minutes, the once dying, lifeless money tree looked brand new. All the messy, overgrown branches were pruned away. It was perfectly spaced out, with clear, distinct layers. Every remaining leaf was bright and emerald green, stretching out freely, exuding a vibrant, upward vitality. A perfect revival of a dying tree. The aura of the entire office was instantly brought to life. After fixing the money tree, I stepped over to the windowsill. I took the uneven, overgrown, and crooked succulents and adjusted their positions one by one. Based on their varying heights and shades of color, I rearranged them. The once messy windowsill instantly transformed into a delicate, soothing miniature landscape. The fresh and elegant vibe was maxed out. I raised my hands and dusted off the loose soil from my palms. At this moment, the overall atmosphere of the office was completely different. The originally dull, oppressive, and heavy feeling was swept away, replaced by a refreshing, airy sense of flow. The whole room seemed much brighter. Just then, the office door was gently pushed open a crack. A worried Chen Qianchen sneaked in, wanting to see if I had messed anything up. But the moment she looked up and saw the whole office, she froze right in her tracks. Her eyes widened abruptly, her mouth formed a perfect O, and her black-rimmed glasses slipped slightly down her nose. Her face was full of disbelief. Is this really the CEO's office she stays in every day? That money tree was clearly on the verge of death. So how did it spring back to life overnight, full of lush greenery? And the messy succulents on the windowsill, how did they instantly become so exquisite and beautiful? Brimming with style, the whole space looked like it had instantly been put through a dozen beauty filters. The dullness had completely vanished, leaving it airy and healing. The midday sun spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, landing steadily on my tall, slender back. Clean and gentle, radiating a naturally soothing aura. Mr. Li, Chen Qianchen stammered, her tone filled with shock. I just trimmed them up a bit so they look cleaner and more pleasing to the eye. I turned around and picked up a wet wipe, slowly and methodically wiping the dust from my fingertips. My movements were calm and elegant, my demeanor steady and indifferent. After wiping my hands clean, I raised my wrist to check my watch. Exactly 12 p.m. noon. Not a second off. How much longer will the meeting take? Chen Qianchen smiled bitterly, looking helplessly toward the conference room. Hard to say. Judging by how furious she is, it'll be at least another half hour. President Liu is in a fit of rage right now. We have to wait until she's completely tired of yelling, and her anger subsides before the meeting can end. Half an hour? I frowned slightly. In another half hour, the meal I carefully prepared would be completely cold. The lotus pond stir-fry would become hard and greasy once cold, losing all its crispness. The golden soup abalone would develop a fishy smell, the broth would congeal, and the flavor would be ruined. For an ordinary person, it would just affect the taste, but for someone like Lu Yanren, who has severe anorexia and a weak stomach, it would be a fatal blow. Eating cold food would cause indigestion and bloating, irritating her stomach. All my careful conditioning over the past 2 days would be completely wasted. I took out my phone, opened the WeChat chat with Li Yanren, and tapped out a message. It's time to eat. Cold food will hurt your stomach. The screen remained quiet as usual, with no reply whatsoever. She probably had her phone on silent for the meeting, or she was too furious to even check it. My frown deepened. I shoved the phone back into my pocket, and my gaze landed on Chen Qianchen, who was just about to sneak out. Assistant Chen. My voice was calm and gentle, yet carried an undeniable aura of certainty. Please go in and remind President Liu to eat on time. No. Chen Qianxian's face instantly turned pale. She shook her head like a rattle, her face full of terror. I really can't. When President Liu gets mad, she spares no one. Nobody can talk her down. If I go in now to interrupt the meeting and remind her to eat, she'll absolutely chew me out right then and there. I might even get fired on the spot. I sighed softly. It seemed relying on someone else to safely remind her was out of the question. I'd have to do it myself. I raised my hand and adjusted my collar, smoothing out the slightly rolled edges of my cuffs. My movements were calm and precise. Where's the conference room? Chen Qianxian instinctively raised her hand to point in the direction. The next second, she snapped back to her senses, her pupils shrinking, her face full of disbelief. You're going in yourself. Mr. Li, please calm down. Don't do anything rash. Something terrible will happen. Right now, President Liu is a fire-breathing T-Rex. Whoever approaches her is doomed. You'll definitely become her punching bag. In the top-floor conference room of the Shenyu group, the heavy solid wood doors were tightly shut. Layers of top-tier soundproofing panels blocked the noise, but they couldn't stop the explosive roars echoing from inside. Liu Yanran's piercing, rapid-fire scolding continued non-stop, leaking out like the wrath of a vicious dragon. Is this the proposal you spent a whole week pulling all-nighters for? With this level of garbage, if you fed it to pigs, even the pigs would think it's spoiled. At the head of the conference table, Liu Yanran jabbed her finger fiercely at the large screen, pointing at the flashy, loophole-ridden planning mock-ups. She was so angry her fingertips were trembling slightly, the fury in her chest churning endlessly. The market research is completely half-assed. The user profiles are vague and unclear, and you actually have the nerve to use nonsense like all-age coverage to fool me. Every single one of you sits in a high position, taking a fat paycheck. So is your head filled with tofu dregs or plain water? Next to the projector, the planning director, who was usually so arrogant and imposing in his department, feared and respected by everyone, now wished he could just crawl into a hole and disappear. Cold sweat drenched his shirt layer by layer. Full of regret, he kept his head hung low, not even daring to raise a hand to wipe his sweat. He could only stare stiffly at the floor patterns, trying to use this numbness to escape the overwhelming fury coming his way. Liu Yanran's anger surged, getting more heated the more she yelled. Her temples throbbed violently, as if a small hammer were repeatedly pounding inside her skull, causing a sore, piercing pain. What was worse, a familiar discomfort swept through her stomach. That spasming of the gastric mucosa, a twisting pain like someone wringing out a wet towel, struck her once again. Whenever her emotions flared up, her stomach condition would inevitably relapse. It was an old problem she hadn't been able to fix for years. She instinctively raised a hand to press against her stomach, applying slight pressure to ease the pain. But the scolding from her mouth didn't stop for a second. The atmosphere remained explosive. Each of you takes a high salary and sits in a high position. Yet you're all just slacking off and waiting to die, just going through the motions. On both sides of the table, over 20 group executives sat rigidly, as quiet as winter cicadas. They even deliberately lightened their breathing. Terrified of drawing her fire, someone repeatedly unscrewed and tightened their pen cap, relying on the tiny movements to ease their panic. Someone stared intently at the mineral water bottle in front of them, their eyes glazed over, forcing themselves to look calm. Some were even silently reciting scriptures in their heads, humbly praying that this massive fire wouldn't burn them. The scene of President Liu in a rage was feared by everyone in the company. Lisa, sitting to Liu Yanran's left, calmly gripped the fountain pen in her hand. Her expression was indifferent as she looked at the trembling planning director. She felt absolutely no sympathy for him, only frustration that the company had invested so much money and wasted so much manpower and resources only to be handed such a half-assed final product. He completely deserved to be yelled at. Uncle Wang from finance, sitting at the far end, had his eyelids slightly drooping, looking like none of this was his business. He was an elder who had watched Liu Yanran grow up, and he knew this young lady's temper best. When she was furious, she spared no one, not even giving face to Chairman Liu. Only Madame Liu could barely talk her down. As long as it didn't touch on core financial risks, he firmly kept his mouth shut and sighed. I think your planning department is completely rotten from top to bottom. Liu Yanran couldn't suppress the anger in her heart, and was just about to continue her interrogation. Right at that moment, 3 crisp, rhythmic, and steady knocks came from outside the door. Knock, knock, knock. The crisp sound precisely interrupted Liu Yanran's scolding, instantly freezing the atmosphere in the room. The 20-plus executives moved in perfect unison, all looking up at the tightly shut door. Their eyes were filled with extreme shock. Who was so bold? Couldn't they hear the raging storm and thunderous fury inside? Knocking on the door at this critical moment was pure suicide. Everyone silently cursed in their hearts. Even the sharpest Chen Qianxian couldn't guard the door anymore. Being forcibly interrupted mid-rant, Liu Yanran's hostility skyrocketed. Her anger flared even more, her chest heaving violently. Those peach blossom eyes, naturally carrying a murderous aura, locked fiercely onto the door. Her voice was as cold as shattered winter ice. She wanted to see which blind fool dared to throw themselves at the muzzle of her gun. The doorknob slowly turned. The heavy wooden door was pushed inward. My tall, slender figure slowly walked into the conference room. Behind me, Chen Qianxian's small face was deathly pale, full of despair. She followed closely behind, looking like she was about to cry. She had really tried her best to stop me, but she simply couldn't stop a stubborn Buddha like me. She had repeatedly warned me that President Liu was in a fit of rage, and whoever tried to talk to her would be doomed, but I just calmly replied, It's time for President Liu to eat. She had no way to argue against this flawless logic. She could only watch helplessly as I barged in, fully prepared for us both to get fired. I stepped into the conference room, calmly scanning the room's suffocating, extremely oppressive atmosphere, facing over 20 gazes mixed with shock, curiosity, and a desire to watch the drama unfold. I completely ignored them. My expression was calm and unruffled. Walking to the end of the long table, with perfect etiquette, I bowed slightly. Apologies for interrupting your meeting. My voice was gentle and steady, without the slightest hint of panic or embarrassment. My composed aura was completely natural. The executives exchanged glances, their hearts full of confusion. I looked unfamiliar? Definitely not an internal employee of the company. But this calm and collected aura was truly extraordinary. I paid no mind to their private speculations. I stepped forward with my long legs, walking straight toward Liu Yanran at the head of the table. My leather shoes stepped lightly, making no sound on the soft carpet. Every step was unhurried and composed. Liu Yanran watched quietly as I approached step by step, the monster's anger churning in her heart, inexplicably dissipated by more than half. Like a popped balloon, her tense nerves suddenly relaxed. Out of the corner of her eye, she glanced at the wall clock. 12:05. Right at mealtime. The throbbing pain in her stomach and the hollow, gnawing hunger became increasingly clear and intense, reminding her that it was time to eat. Looking at my clean, bright features, a trace of untimely grievance even bubbled up in her heart. She wanted to take the opportunity to drop all her toughness and secretly act a little spoiled, but she only dared to hide this thought deep in her heart, not daring to show it in the slightest. I stopped by Liu Yanran's side and leaned in slightly. The distance between us instantly closed, so close that Liu Yanran could clearly smell the clean, refreshing, faint scent of soap on me, dispelling the room full of gunpowder. I lowered my voice, my tone gentle and soft, carrying a perfectly measured reminder. President Liu, I've already delivered your lunch to your office. It's time to eat. Your stomach can't handle being tortured. It won't be too late to continue the meeting and hold them accountable after you eat. The gentle words fell by her ear, instantly soothing all of Liu Yanran's anxiety and hostility. Her heartbeat inexplicably sped up a couple of beats. A warm current spread from the bottom of her heart, and her tense muscles softened a bit. She knew I was genuinely caring for her and worrying about her. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, uncontrollably. A gentle smile was about to reveal itself. But just as the smile reached its peak, the corner of her eye suddenly swept over the executives below. Everyone had their heads down, pretending to be solemn, but their ears were all perked straight up, like a bunch of onlookers eager for gossip. Their eyes were full of inquiry and gossip. I absolutely cannot smile. A jolt went through Liu Yanran's heart, and she instantly sobered up. She was the person in charge of Shanyu Media, the absolute female overlord whose word was law. If she showed weakness in front of her subordinates right now, easily coaxed by someone, her authority would be completely ruined in the future. She would never be able to keep these old foxes in line again. Acting spoiled, being gentle, softening her heart, absolutely not. Liu Yanran forcefully suppressed the smile at the corners of her mouth, instantly retracting all her softness and putting her cold, domineering CEO mask back on. She looked up at me, her gaze sharp and icy. Her tone carried a completely businesslike and distant feel. Who told you to come in without permission? Can't you see the company is holding a high-level meeting? You don't even have that much common sense. The work isn't finished. I have no appetite, and I can't eat. Every word was cold, without a shred of affection. Hearing this, my expression didn't change. I just nodded faintly and replied, understood. No extra excuses, not a single word of persuasion, and certainly no pestering. I just straightened up, politely nodded to the executives again in apology. Sorry for interrupting your work. After speaking, I turned and stepped away, walking straight toward the conference room door. My pace was calm and effortless, neither rushed nor slow. My back looked crisp and decisive, without a hint of reluctance. Since the employer refused to eat on time, there was no point in me saying more. I wasn't the one with the stomachache, and I wasn't the one going hungry. Liu Yanran sat at the head of the table, her gaze landing squarely on my effortlessly departing back. Her heart instantly felt empty. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Watching me walk further and further away. Without stopping at all, Liu Yanran felt an inexplicable panic in her heart, and a faint trace of regret emerged. He's really leaving? He actually just walked away? He's not going to try to persuade me one more time. According to the script in her head, I was supposed to insist, say something like, your health is the most important, and then she would take the out, gracefully end the meeting, and go eat. Even if he just insisted for one more second, her anger had long since completely vanished. The gnawing hunger and twisting pain in her stomach became even more obvious, and her stomach even faintly started to rumble. Her stubbornness just now was just because she couldn't let go of her CEO pride and dignity. Liu Yanran instinctively opened her mouth, wanting to call out and stop me. But with a room full of executives sitting quietly, everyone silently watching, that weight got stuck dead in her throat. She just couldn't bring herself to shout it. In that moment of her conflicted hesitation, click. The conference room door opened and gently closed again as I walked right out. Without a moment's pause, I raised my hand and pressed the down button for the elevator. The whole sequence of movements was smooth, crisp, and decisive. Thud. The slight sound of the door closing echoed in the spacious conference room. Liu Yanran stared blankly at the door that hadn't fully closed yet. Her pink lips secretly pouted, the curve obvious and full of grievance. He really left, not even a half-step pause or a single glance back. Lu Yanran secretly gritted her teeth in her heart, both angry and frustrated, her heart full of petty emotions with nowhere to vent. Fine, you win. If you won't coax me, I just won't eat. I'll just starve to death. Let's see who ends up heartbroken and regretful. Lisa, sitting beside her, took in this whole series of unconcealable little expressions, seeing everything clearly. A knowing smile flashed across her face. The aloof female CEO's disguise has completely fallen apart. Looking at it this way, that handsome guy who just dared to brave the thunderous fury and storm into the conference room must be the one who made that stunning, heartwarming breakfast for everyone this morning. He must have come specifically to persuade Yanran to eat on time and take care of her stomach. But in the end, Yanran, who cares too much about her pride, stubbornly drove him away with a cold face. Well, isn't this interesting? Lu Yanran quickly reined in the grievance in her eyes, took 2 deep breaths, and forcefully suppressed that bit of romantic softness in her heart. She put her cold, domineering CEO posture back on. She tapped her fingers coldly and hard against the conference table. Her voice returned to its previous sharp authority. Let's continue the meeting. The tense executives around the table shuddered again. The nerves that had just relaxed slightly instantly tightened once more. They didn't dare to breathe too loudly. This high-level meeting dragged on for a whole hour. From the initial furious interrogation and criticizing problems one by one, to later sorting out loopholes item by item, finalizing the rectification plan, and implementing a brand new marketing strategy, the entire process was high intensity and high pressure. Lu Yanran remained highly focused the entire time, her brain working at top speed. The human body is quite fascinating. Extreme focus triggers a compensatory mechanism, temporarily suppressing the body's hunger and discomfort. For a whole hour, the emptiness and twisting pain in her stomach were forcefully suppressed. She completely ignored her hunger. It wasn't until the hands on the wall clock steadily landed. On 1:30 p.m., meeting adjourned. Lu Yanran crisply closed the folder in her hands and faintly spat out those 2 words. These 2 simple words were like the voice of an angel, instantly rescuing all the tormented executives in the room. Everyone felt as if they had been granted amnesty. Their movements as they packed up their documents were smooth and swift. In less than half a minute, the massive conference room was completely empty. Everyone ran faster than rabbits, terrified that if they were a second too slow, Lu Yanran would grab them to continue scolding them. Lu Yanran slowly stood up, raising a hand to adjust her smooth, white suit. Stripped of the sharp aura she had during the meeting, an unconcealable exhaustion crept into her features. With a cold face, she stepped out of the conference room, heading straight for the CEO's office next door. Chen Qianqian, holding a thick stack of follow-up documents, followed closely behind her, step for step. She held her breath the entire way, not daring to make a sound. Lisa, on the other hand, was relaxed and at ease, slowly following along in her exquisite high heels, her eyes full of eagerness for the gossip. She was just waiting for the aftermath of this little drama between the CEO and the butler. The heavy doors to the CEO's office were pushed open. Lu Yanran stepped inside, but her footsteps suddenly paused. The irritation, frustration, and anger that had lingered in her heart all the way here were, at this moment, completely replaced by sudden surprise. The corners of the office that were originally lifeless, oppressive, and dull were now completely refreshed, brimming with vitality. That potted money tree, which previously had yellowing, curled leaves and was wilting and nearly dead, had been carefully pruned and tended to by me. It was completely reborn. The messy, dead branches had all been removed, the branches were perfectly spaced, and the layers were distinct. The emerald green leaves stretched out tall and straight, exuding a vibrant, zen-like feeling of a dying tree springing back to life. It was comparable to the work of a professional bonsai master. The pots of succulents on the windowsill, which were originally overgrown, messy, and crooked, had also been rearranged and combined by me. Using their varying heights and matching colors, I had created an exquisite and delicate miniature landscape. It was perfectly arranged, fresh, and healing. The warm midday sun shone through. Sunlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, landing on the plump, translucent leaves of the succulents. They shimmered with a soft, delicate glow, looking as exquisite as carefully displayed works of art. The heavy, oppressive atmosphere of the entire office was swept away, leaving it bright and refreshing. The air still lingered with the faint, fresh scent of damp earth, the clean aroma of newly watered plants. Boss Lu, Mr. Li trimmed all of these earlier, while he was waiting for you. Chen Qianxian quickly explained in a low voice, her tone full of admiration. Mr. Li said a dull and oppressive office environment would affect your mood and ruin your appetite, so he tidied them up for you. Lu Yanran walked slowly to the window, her fingertips gently brushing across a vibrant green leaf. Feeling the cool, moist texture of the leaf, most of the resentment and grievance built up in her heart vanished into thin air. My hands really are magic. I can bring half-dead plants back to life and I handle everything with meticulous care. But I just have to be stubborn and terrible at coaxing people. If I had just pushed a little more and said a few soft words, or told her to wait for me to eat, she wouldn't have thrown a tantrum and lashed out just to save face. As the tension in her heart dissipated, the hunger she had forcibly suppressed all morning suddenly came roaring back with a vengeance. Grumble. A loud stomach rumble echoed clearly in the quiet office. Only then did Lu Yanren suddenly remember. The lunch I had brought over was still sitting on the sofa. Sure enough, even though he left in a huff, he still left his carefully prepared meal here. Her eyes instantly lit up with anticipation. She quickly walked over to the sofa and sat down, her mind constantly replaying the morning's savory, soft, and sticky soup dumplings, and the rich, stomach-soothing pumpkin congee. Her heart was full of anticipation for my cooking. The meals I make have always been an irreplaceable delicacy. Click. The latch of the pink bunny lunchbox was gently popped open. However, the expected cloud of hot steam and swirling heat never appeared. That overwhelmingly tempting aroma was nowhere to be found either. The faint smile that had just surfaced on Lu Yanren's face instantly froze. The sight inside the lunchbox was so dismal it completely killed any appetite. The originally golden, rich brothed, and savory golden broth abalone now had a thick layer of white grease congealed on the surface. It looked mottled and greasy, the clear golden broth completely murky and dull, lying lifelessly at the bottom of the box. It looked sticky and nauseating, like a bowl of spoiled dishwater. The lotus pond stir-fry next to it was even more pathetic, because it had been trapped in the airtight lunchbox for so long. The once crisp, bright green snow peas had turned yellow and mushy, losing all their texture. The translucent lotus root slices had oxidized and turned black, looking dull and limp, completely stripped of the fresh, crisp appeal they had right out of the pan. How was this a carefully prepared lunch? It was clearly a box of completely cold, texture-ruined leftovers. Lu Yanren clung to one last sliver of hope in her heart. My cooking has always been top-notch. Even if it was cold, the taste shouldn't be too bad. She picked up her chopsticks, pushed aside the layer of congealed cold grease, and picked up a piece of abalone, putting it into her mouth. As her teeth gently bit down, an instant cold, greasy sensation, mixed with a weird, faintly fishy taste, completely took over her mouth. There was no savory freshness at all, only the nauseating, sticky feeling of cold grease coating her tongue. The originally tender and bouncy abalone meat had turned completely hard, dry and stiff, chewing like a piece of stale rubber. Lu Yanren couldn't hold it back for a second. She covered her mouth and let out a soft gag. A strong wave of nausea shot straight to her head. She already had a weak stomach and suffered from severe anorexia and old stomach ailments. Her digestive system was several times more sensitive than a normal person. This box of cold, greasy food precisely triggered her fragile stomach, like a targeted explosion. She hurriedly grabbed the warm water from the desk and gulped it down, trying to wash away the greasy, fishy taste in her mouth. But her stomach's protests didn't ease up in the slightest. Instead, they only grew more intense. The familiar, agonizing cramps suddenly struck. It felt like an invisible hand was viciously gripping and repeatedly twisting her stomach. A piercing, bone-deep pain spread in waves, making her whole body tense up. Lu Yanren quickly put down the chopsticks and instinctively pushed the lunchbox far away, her brows furrowed tightly in deep agony. This pink bunny lunchbox only had a cute exterior. Its insulation was terrible. Add to that the fact that she had stubbornly dragged things out in the conference room for a whole hour. Even the most masterfully crafted cuisine couldn't withstand that kind of delay. Yanren, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Lisa, who had been watching from the side, noticed something was wrong and quickly hurried over. Seeing Lu Yanren's suddenly pale face and the fine beads of cold sweat forming on her forehead, her eyes instantly filled with worry. Qianqian, hurry and get a glass of warm water. Lisa quickly turned and ordered, then looked at the completely cold food on the table and sighed helplessly. Stop eating. It's completely cold and greasy. It's completely inedible. It's 1:30 now. The company cafeteria closed a long time ago. All that's left are cold leftovers. She immediately took out her phone and opened a food delivery app. Let me order some takeout for you. How about that stomach-soothing congee place from last time? Or maybe some light Cantonese food? Lu Yanren gently shook her head. Raising a hand to push away the phone screen, Lisa offered, I'm not eating. Those 3 short words carried an indescribable stubbornness. Her palate had long been spoiled by me, and her stomach had been carefully conditioned by me to be exceptionally picky. Other than the meals I personally cooked, those heavy oil, high-salt outside meals with zero wok hei were, in her eyes, no different from unswallowable pig slop. Then what should we do? Lisa was completely frantic, looking helplessly at the person curled up on the sofa. If you keep your stomach empty, your stomach condition will only get worse. You won't be able to handle it. Lu Yanren didn't reply. She just silently curled up on the sofa, her hands pressing tightly against her cramping stomach. Her gaze was firmly fixed on that pink bunny lunchbox. Her eyes welled up with grievance, discomfort, and longing. She wanted to drink the hot soup I simmered. She wanted to taste my high heat, wok-seared, home-style cooking. She wanted another bite of my spicy boiled fish. And more than anything, she wanted my warm, strong hands to gently massage her, soothing her cramping stomach. An empty stomach, piercing pain, a heart full of grievance, and her longing for me. At this moment, they all intertwined and piled up, reaching their absolute peak. Lu Yanren gently bit her pale, dry lips, forcing down the moisture in her eyes. She took a deep breath, and with a trembling hand, picked up her phone from the coffee table. The screen lit up with a fingerprint unlock. Her fingertip hovered over the screen for a few seconds, carrying a trace of awkward, aggrieved hesitation. Finally, she tapped on the WeChat chat box with the stick figure, puppy avatar. This was her exclusive chat interface with me. At this moment, she had shed all the dominance and arrogance of the female CEO of Chanyu Group. She was no longer that absolute, decisive leader who held all the power. She was just a hungry girl with unbearable stomach pain, full of grievances, who just wanted to act spoiled and yield to someone. Her fingertips tapped lightly on the screen, typing out a message word by word and hitting send. Guden, my stomach hurts. The food is cold and tastes bad. I want something hot. Meanwhile, I was busy handling personal matters, my phone on silent the whole time, directly leaving my top-tier client, Boss Liu, completely ghosted, waiting for a full 5 minutes. No one knew that in these short 5 minutes, Liu Yanren's mind had already directed an entire 80-episode tragic melodrama. Rewind the clock by 2 minutes. Liu Yanran sent me a WeChat message, an extremely vague client demand. I want something hot. Zero clear instructions, relying entirely on my intuition. I didn't reply. That instantly shattered Boss Liu's mental state. She stared at my puppy avatar, finding it more and more irritating by the second. Her fingertips tapped rapidly against the desk, her mind furiously venting. Usually, he replies in seconds. He's the absolute ceiling of workplace response times, and today he just completely cuts contact. In her mind, I was her on-call, 24/7 exclusive employee. Daring to ignore the client was simply outrageous. She forcefully tried to rationalize it to herself. He's probably driving and hasn't checked his phone, forcing herself to give me the benefit of the doubt. She even threw out a mental threat. If he doesn't reply soon, I'm docking his performance bonus. Grasping my workplace lifeline, the 60-second countdown finished. My chat box remained dead silent, as lifeless as a dropped loot box. Liu Yanren completely lost her cool. The frustration of being ignored by her subordinate, stacked with the agonizing cramps of her chronic stomach issue. This double buff shot straight to her head. She was absolutely convinced that I was blatantly giving her the silent treatment. She dialed my number directly. The ringing tone was monotonous and cold. 3 rings, 5 rings, 10 rings. No one answered. Anyone who knows me knows. I never let a phone ring more than 3 times. My professionalism is maxed out, and I never drag my feet. At this moment, Liu Yanren's sense of control completely hit zero. Countless negative thoughts furiously spammed her mind. The underlying logic boiled down to one thing. I was running away. She instantly replayed the situation in her head. Just now in the conference room, she had pulled rank as the boss in front of everyone, kicking me out publicly. Her tone had been incredibly harsh. My previous harsh words instantly echoed in her ears. I am a butler, not a slave. If you don't respect people, I can walk away from this money at any time. She finally realized that I was a hardcore worker with a bottom line and a temper, who genuinely dared to quit on the spot. Her mindset completely shattered. The phone slipped from her hand, hit the armrest, and bounced onto the carpet. She didn't even bother to pick it up. She slumped into her executive chair, as if all the bones had been drained from her body. The stomach pain was a minor issue. The panic was the real problem. The terrifying feeling of being abandoned completely overwhelmed her. She was both angry and panicked, furiously cursing me for being petty and fragile, unable to handle a few words and just running away from $1 million job. But as she kept cursing, her eyes turned red. Her mind rapidly tallied up my irreplaceability. No one to make her exclusive spicy boiled fish. No one to give her stress-relieving massages. No one to press her acupressure points or handle her trivial daily matters. From now on, she could only eat cold, tasteless nutritional meals, suffering from insomnia and pulling all-nighters every night. This massive downgrade in her quality of life, she couldn't accept it for even a second. Her mouth was still holding out, the queen of stubbornness, logging on. I have money. What kind of butler can I hire? But her tears were already out of control, swirling furiously in her eyes. Her assistant Lisa, standing nearby, witnessed this entire massive emotional breakdown from start to finish, from furious rage to panic, and then to total collapse. In just a few short minutes, the usually ruthless and decisive female boss's persona shattered into pieces. Lisa saw right through to the core of the issue. It was a textbook case of lovesickness, incurable by normal medicine. Only I, her exclusive antidote, could bring her back to life. She quickly stopped Chen Changqian, who wanted to step forward and offer comfort, and dragged her straight out of the office. Outsiders intervening would only add to the chaos. This situation could only be resolved by me. The heavy doors gently closed. The office instantly fell dead silent. In the massive executive chair, Liu Yanren hugged her knees, curled up into a tight ball. She completely stripped away all her armor, tears pattering down onto her pants. The aloof female boss had completely broken down. Guden, was I wrong? Her soft, crying voice was filled with absolute grievance, looking like a completely different person from her usual domineering self. If the company executives saw this scene, they would all be stunned on the spot. As she cried, she kept imagining a tragic melodrama in her head. I blocked her on WeChat, packed up overnight, and jumped ship to serve some other gentle, rich lady, completely replacing her. The more she thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. The more she thought about it, the more she broke down. Bastard. Men are all jerks. After crying, she started compromising with herself, frantically making mental promises to me. As long as he comes back, I won't yell at him. I won't dock his pay. I'll even give him a raise. I'll yield to him in every way. Just as she was crying her eyes out, her internal drama reaching its climax. Click. The office door was gently pushed open by me. Lu Yanran was instantly startled. She buried her head tightly, desperately trying to hide her miserable state, and roared irritably with a heavy, tearful voice, "Get out. Nobody come in. Leave me alone." Unfortunately for her, I completely ignored her orders. Steady footsteps stepped across the carpet. The familiar, clean scent of soap drifted into the air. The next second, a warm touch pressed against her cold cheek. My slightly teasing voice slowly rang out. I think I just heard someone talking bad about me behind my back. In the top floor corridor of Qianyu Media, Lisa directly dragged the gossip-loving Chen Qianqian around the corner, precisely putting an end to her spectating. Chen Qianqian still wanted to turn back and watch the drama, but Lisa immediately snapped her head forward. "Stop looking. Useless spectating won't solve the core issue." Lisa leaned against the wall and sighed, her face full of workplace wisdom. "Boss Lu has a classic case of lovesickness. The only cure is Gudin. Any other HR intervention is just a useless loop." Chen Qianqian muttered softly with a look of disbelief. Boss Lu completely broke down just now. She didn't even bother throwing out threats. She was just crying the whole time. Lisa popped 2 mints to suppress her frustration. Just as she was worrying about how to find me, ding. The elevator chime suddenly rang out. The 2 NPCs turned their heads in sync, staring dead at the elevator doors. The elevator doors slid open, and I slowly walked out. Dressed in casual clothes, radiating a zen-like calmness, I was carrying a red insulated lunchbox in my hand. It was the core item for my emergency after-sales service. Chen Qianqian's pupils instantly quaked, almost crying out in shock. Lisa moved with lightning speed, covering her mouth to mute her on the spot. Her eyes were filled with the wild joy of seeing the savior arrive. "Don't make a sound. The VIP is in a critical healing phase. No outside interference allowed." The 2 immediately activated stealth mode, secretly tailing me to watch the drama unfold. I walked up to the door of the CEO's office and grasped the cold door handle. Faint sobbing sounds leaked out from inside, like an aggrieved little kitten hiding away to lick its wounds. My heart inexplicably softened a bit. The boss Lu, who usually had her aura maxed out, who loved to put on airs as the ultimate client, was at her core just a little girl who hated being cold and feeling wronged, trying to control me every day. "Now your mindset has finally collapsed, hasn't it? Let's see if you act so stubborn next time." Click. I pushed the door open and walked in, closing it behind me, shutting out all outside noise. The office was dim and oppressive, a perfect setting for a gloomy mood. The usually imperious Lu Yanren was curled up in her oversized executive chair, shrunk into a tiny little ball. Her shoulders were constantly trembling, her grievance meter completely maxed out. Hearing the noise, she didn't even lift her head, and irritably lashed out with a heavy nasal voice. "Get out. Everyone leave me alone." She talked a big game, but the weakness and grievance in her voice couldn't be hidden at all. I stood my ground, stepping softly across the carpet as I slowly approached. My signature clean soap scent spread out, instantly filling the entire office. Lu Yanran's body stiffened. She slowly lifted her tear-stained face, and through her blurry, tear-filled eyes, locked onto me immediately. I crouched down to eye level with her, and pressed the warm, insulated lunchbox against her cold cheek. The warmth instantly seeped in. She instinctively shrank her neck back. Those red, swollen peach blossom eyes stared blankly at me, teardrops still clinging to her eyelashes. She looked both pitiful and hilarious. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow and tease, "Boss Lu, I think I just heard someone complaining about me behind my back." She immediately bounced back with her stubbornness, turning her head to avoid my gaze. "Who's complaining about you? Stop talking nonsense." The dignified CEO of a media empire hiding in her office secretly crying. If this dark history got exposed, her persona would completely collapse. She hurriedly wiped her face in a panic, trying to destroy the evidence of her crying. "I just got some sand in my eye." I nodded cooperatively, precisely tearing down her excuse. "A sealed floor-to-ceiling window on the top floor, and sand still managed a precision strike right into your eye? The wind today is honestly a bit ridiculous." Lu Yanran choked on her words instantly. She turned and glared at me fiercely. "You're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. I'm the boss. If I say there's sand, there's sand." Classic boss hegemony logic. Completely unreasonable. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. "All right, whatever you say. If your eyes are fine, then hurry up and take care of your stomach." I placed the insulated lunchbox on the coffee table. The moment I lifted the lid, a rich, savory aroma rushed straight into the nose. There was no fishy smell at all, only the fragrance of rice mixed with the fresh sweetness of fish slices. For someone starving to the point of stomach cramps and low blood sugar, like Lu Yanran, this was a top-tier healing potion. Grumble. In the dead silent office, her stomach's protest was exceptionally loud, even carrying an echo. The air instantly froze for 2 seconds. Lu Yanran's cheeks flushed bright red, the color spreading all the way down to her neck. She hurriedly covered her stomach, but alas, her taste buds and stomach had completely mutinied, screaming frantically to scarf down the food. I pretended not to hear it, setting up the bowl and chopsticks and handing them to her. "Freshly boiled fish slice kanji. To rush back and give you this after-sales service." I was speeding the whole way, almost staged a Fast and Furious out there. The snow-white kanji base was soft and creamy, the fish slices fresh and tender, garnished with chopped green onions and dried scallops. Both the presentation and the taste were top-notch. Lu Yanran swallowed hard. All her nausea and discomfort completely wiped clean. She picked up the spoon, still desperately trying to save face and find an out. "You're the one forcing me to eat this. I wasn't hungry at all, but seeing as you went through the trouble of running all the way here, I'll reluctantly take a bite." The moment the words left her mouth, she scooped up a massive spoonful and shoved it into her mouth. It was so hot she hissed and drew in sharp breaths, but she couldn't bear to spit out even a little bit. The kanji melted in her mouth, the fish slices tender and bouncy. The warm scent of ginger slid down her esophagus and coated her stomach. Her cramping stomach was instantly soothed, and the panic from her low blood sugar completely vanished. Full health restored. The physical sensation was an absolute win. She completely abandoned her idle baggage, her spoon flying as she maxed out her eating speed. 1 second ago, she was acting like she'd rather die than yield. The next second, she practically buried her face in the bowl. I leaned against the armrest nearby, quietly watching her. I could only say that Boss Lu was on the verge of starving to death. Her tears cried dry, yet her mouth remained stubbornly hard. In less than 10 minutes, the fish kanji I made was completely wiped out by Lu Yanran. This big boss even scraped the remaining grains of rice off the sides of the bowl until it was spotless. Her food-clearing efficiency was maxed out. She elegantly wiped her mouth, her whole body radiating the relaxed warmth of a carb-heavy, full stomach. Health regeneration successful. Her IQ rapidly returned to baseline. The gloomy, broken-down vibe from earlier faded away significantly. But this debt of skipping work and going MIA, she clearly intended to settle it with me to the bitter end. After all, in the logic of a client boss, a subordinate going MIA is deliberate rebellion. Lu Yanran straightened her posture, smoothed out her wrinkled collar, and rebooted her domineering CEO persona at lightspeed. Even though the corners of her eyes still carried the faint redness of crying, it didn't affect her score-settling aura in the slightest. "Godin, where's your phone?" I patted my empty pants pocket and calmly threw my hands up. Left it on the kitchen counter. "I was rushing back to give you your after-sales service, pulling extreme maneuvers the whole way." I grabbed the lunchbox and bolted. I completely forgot to grab it. This explanation was logically flawless and airtight, but an angry woman never cares about underlying logic. Lu Yanran let out a cold sneer as she spoke, instantly activating her unreasonable mode. "Who goes out without their phone nowadays? Who are you trying to fool? To put it bluntly, you ignored my messages on purpose. You just don't want to talk to me anymore, do you?" The more she spoke, the more aggrieved she sounded. She stood right up, hands on her hips, her long red fingernail pointing just 2 centimeters from my nose. Her aura was absolutely dominating. She looked fierce, yet somehow inexplicably cute and naive. "I already told you my stomach was killing me, and you still dared to leave me on read and ignore my calls." I looked at the woman baring her fangs and brandishing her claws in front of me, complaining frantically in my head. Just a minute ago, she was crying, weak and helpless. Now she's transformed into a domineering boss lady. She really switches modes effortlessly. "Boss Lu, let's talk some workplace logic here." I calmly laid out the facts and the timeline. At 12:05, I was kicked out of the conference room by you. A 40-minute round trip to the villa. Cooking the shark fin porridge and packing it, the whole process was compressed to the absolute limit. I was rushing against the clock the entire time. I didn't even have a second to slack off or go to the bathroom. Where would I find the time to check my phone? "I'm not listening." Lu Yanran turned her head and crossed her arms. Her tsundere traits were on full display. Not replying to my messages is an established fact. It counts as a severe dereliction of duty. A personal butler must be online and responsive 24/7. That's the most basic professional requirement. She raised her chin and looked down at me. A textbook display of bossy arrogance. "I'm going to issue a workplace punishment." I raised an eyebrow in amazement. This woman really knows how to push her luck. She just finished crying, and now she's turning around to boss me around. But hey, the one paying the bills is the boss. She just had a breakdown, so I should probably humor her. I took a step back to clean up. I calmly compromised while packing the utensils. "Fine, as long as it's not too overboard. Punish me however you want." Hearing this, Lu Yanran couldn't suppress the corners of her mouth from turning up. That look on her face was exactly like a little kid who just won a massive comeback victory. Her eyes darted around. You could practically hear the gears turning in her head. She wanted to lock me down for life right then and there, but she was afraid that rushing things would backfire. Ultimately, she decided to boil the frog in warm water and slowly get me under her thumb. Me, the humble corporate slave, I punish you. She dragged out her words, her gaze swept over me, to stay by my side all afternoon, on standby at all times. Keep me company. My hands paused. My original KPI for the afternoon was to prune the courtyard. Those Buddhist pines were growing wildly. It was triggering my OCD. Trimming them would optimize the living environment, which counts as increasing efficiency. "I don't care." Lu Yanran interrupted unreasonably, completely ignoring any sort of workplace logic. "Who pays your salary? Are the trees more important, or is your boss more important? Your workspace for today is locked to this office." I sighed helplessly. In the end, a worker can't out-argue the one signing the checks. Fine. But I need to head back by 4 p.m. at the latest to prep the broth. I'll make you some light, water-boiled pork slices for dinner. Hearing the mention of good food, Lu Yanran's eyes lit up. She instantly agreed. "Deal, but I'm not setting an off-work time. I'm the boss. I call the shots." After a full meal, The carb-induced food coma instantly swept over her. She yawned again and again. Her eyelids were heavy, fighting to stay open. Sitting in her spacious boss's chair felt too restrictive. On the other hand, me sitting on the sofa, with my long legs and straight back, looked like the absolute perfect premium pillow. Lu Yanran casually grabbed a throw pillow in one smooth motion. She kicked off her high heels, accurately placed the pillow right on my lap, and the next second, her head dropped right onto it. She adjusted her posture, closed her eyes, and lay flat. The whole sequence was absurdly practiced, treating the office entirely like her own bedroom. My body instantly stiffened. "Boss Lu, this is a workplace. Mind the optics. Shut up, don't be noisy." Her voice was soft and lazy, without a single trace of her domineering CEO aura. "This is your exclusive nap time punishment. You have to cooperate." After saying that, she even found my hand to be in the way. She grabbed it, placed it on her shoulder, and patted it. Pat me. I was utterly speechless. So not only do I have to be on call, 24/7 to cook and clean up, I also have to moonlight as a sleep coaxer. But setting aside her unreasonable temper, she really is beautiful when she's quiet. Her long eyelashes drooped down, stripped of all her sharp edges. She was as docile as a little girl. I shook my head helplessly and accepted my fate. I raised my hand and gently patted her shoulder to coax her to sleep. Meanwhile, outside the office door, Lisa and Chen Qianqian had turned into geckos, glued to the door, eavesdropping intently. The expected arguments and cold wars were nowhere to be found. The room was absurdly quiet, the atmosphere weirdly subtle. The two exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with shock. It was truly outrageous. The famous, domineering female CEO of Fengti, Lu Yanran, was actually completely pacified by Guden. Outside the CEO's office, Chen Qianxian was already planning to retreat. The big shots conflict has been smoothly resolved. Going in now would just be pointless overtime. "Lisa, let's get out of here." But Lisa stood her ground firmly. Her desire for gossip was maxed out. As Lu Yanran's veteran best friend of 20 years, she knew this female CEO's core personality all too well. Normally, her aloofness was off the charts. Strangers keep out. Men could barely get close to her. Today's top-tier contrast. Missing this iconic scene would be a massive loss. What's the rush? We have to stay for this once-in-a-lifetime drama. Lisa held her breath and slowly pressed down the door handle. Her movements were incredibly precise, comparable to a bomb disposal expert at work. A faint click sounded. The door slowly cracked open. The lazy, warm light from inside spilled out. I had already caught the shift in light at the door. I looked up at the crack in the door. Two pairs of gossiping eyes were hiding there, clumsy and hilarious. Outside the door, Lisa peeked through the gap. Her pupils instantly quaked. The usually decisive and ruthless, aura-crushing Lu Yanran had completely shed all her sharp edges right now. She was curled up in my arms, her head resting peacefully on my lap. Unbelievably well-behaved. My back was leaning against the sofa, one hand resting on her back, slowly and gently patting her to sleep. This scene directly struck Lisa's shipping DNA. What employer and butler? This was clearly a Sunder CEO boss lady, and her exclusive, heartwarming companion. Could normal friends use each other's laps as pillows? Believing that would be pure self-deception. Behind her, Chen Qianqian couldn't help but poke her head into watch. Her worldview instantly collapsed and rebooted. The one who slams tables in meetings is now as docile as a sleepy little kitten. The impact of this contrast was off the charts. I looked at the two of them, stacked like a totem pole outside the door. I didn't expose them. I just gave a slight nod and made a keep quiet gesture. Lisa understood instantly. She immediately gave a thumbs up, unable to hide her wide, knowing grin. The next second, she tiptoed and quietly closed the door, completely cutting off the noise from the outside world. The office returned to tranquility, leaving only the faint hum of the air conditioner. After rushing to the limit earlier to cook and serve, my accumulated exhaustion completely erupted. I adjusted into a comfortable position against the sofa, and before long, I fell into a deep sleep too. The top-floor CEO office in the Golden Business District became our temporary slacking-off base. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, the sun moved west. The 3 p.m. sunlight pierced through the gap in the curtains. A strong beam of light hit Lu Yanran right in the face. Fast asleep, she was instantly disturbed. She furrowed her brows, instinctively activating light avoidance mode, nuzzling back and forth in my lap, her cheek rubbing against my pants, frantically searching for a shaded blind spot. Sleeping completely defenseless, her soft and cute vibe was maxed out. Right at that moment, a few drops of crystal-clear drool slid down the corner of her mouth. Drip, drop, landing entirely on my light gray dress pants. Light-colored fabrics naturally show stains easily. The water stain instantly bloomed into a dark mark. The warm, sticky sensation woke me straight out of my dreams. My first sensation was that my legs were numb. Having a 100-pound boss sleep on them for an hour had completely cut off my blood circulation. My second sensation was that something was wrong. My lap was soaking wet. I looked down. The culprit was obvious at a glance. Looking at the ever-expanding drool stain on my pants, and then looking at her pink, sleeping face, I couldn't hold back a low chuckle. I had secured some high-definition blackmail material. The only risk was, if I exposed it, I'd highly likely be fired on the spot or face an even worse fate. My quiet laughter instantly woke Lu Yanran. Her body gave a violent jolt. Her eyes snapped open. Her brain was lagging on startup. Her vision was a blur. She subconsciously raised a hand to wipe the corner of her mouth. Her fingertips touched a suspicious wetness. The next second, her gaze shifted down, locking precisely onto the dark stain on my thigh. The air instantly froze. Lu Yanran's pupils quaked. She completely short-circuited on the spot. That was her drool. The social death meter maxed out instantly. Her cheeks turned beet red at a visible speed. So red, they looked ready to bleed. I watched her flustered expression, looking like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. My smile grew wider. Boss Lu, you're awake. How was your nap experience? Hearing my gentle teasing, Lu Yanran instantly snapped back to reality. She swiftly sat up straight and fixed her hair. Her sense of shame was off the charts. But words like apology and embarrassment didn't exist in a CEO's dictionary. There was only shifting the blame. She whipped her head around and glared at me, forcing her aura back online. Godin, you've gone too far. You actually stared at my flawless beauty and secretly drooled over me. I was dumbfounded. I was genuinely thrown off by this reverse psychology. I pointed at my own nose, looking completely innocent. Drooling? Sure, it was you. Lu Yanran didn't give me any chance to defend myself. She didn't even let me catch my breath. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, she sprang up from the sofa with a whoosh, haphazardly slipped into her high heels, and swiftly turned her back to me. Her main strategy was one word: denial. Playing the ostrich. As long as I don't look, the awkwardness doesn't exist. You brat, simping over my gorgeous sleeping face, and you even dared to drool. I let out a helpless chuckle and completely gave up. All right, whatever the boss says goes. If the boss wants to call a deer a horse, the employee just has to accept it. I leaned on the armrest of the sofa, getting ready to stand up and head back to prep dinner. Tonight's water-boiled pork requires the perfect texture. The meat slices need to rest in advance for a whole hour. The process can't be rushed at all, but I ignored a hardcore physiological fact: nearly 100 pounds of weight, pressing down on my legs in a fixed position for 2 hours, let alone my mortal legs. Even legs of iron would crumble the moment I exerted force to stand up. An extreme, tingling numbness shot straight from my thighs to my brain. Both of my legs instantly went offline, as soft as overcooked noodles. Without a single ounce of support, my center of gravity completely gave out, and I pitched straight forward, right toward Lu Yanran. Lu Yanran had just put on her shoes. She turned around at the sound. Her pupils shrank abruptly. Hey, what are you doing? She was yelling angrily, but her body was honest. She knew very well I was her exclusive chef and masseur, the core pillar of her daily life. If I broke, her gourmet dinner tonight would be cancelled. She instinctively reached out to catch me. Unfortunately, she was completely out of it. Having just woken up, her brain was still foggy, and she was wearing high heels. Her footing was extremely unstable. Bleep. She slipped on the carpet. The expected hero saving the beauty instantly derailed into a disaster. Gravity took full effect. The two of us tumbled to the ground together, crashing heavily onto the carpet. Thud. You'd think it would be extremely romantic. Me on top, her on the bottom. But the pose was so awkward I could curl my toes. To avoid crushing her, I instinctively reached out to find a support point. In the panic, my right hand landed with pinpoint accuracy. Warm, soft, elastic. Damn. The texture was incredible, like perfectly proofed dough. Top tier. All-natural dough with zero additives. The air instantly froze. The only sound left in the room was the air conditioner, humming in the background. I completely stiffened on the spot. My brain went blank and short-circuited. My gaze slowly shifted downward, and my mind completely shattered. My palm was pressed perfectly against the swelling curve of her shirt. The impact had pressed it into an extreme arc. I could even feel her rapid heartbeat. Lu Yanran was also completely stunned. Her hands were still suspended in the air from trying to catch me. Her peach blossom eyes were wide open, her face screaming in disbelief. This idiot. Where did he put his paws? Time stretched on infinitely. The atmosphere was ambiguous to the extreme. I don't know if it was a chef's instinct for premium textures, or if the feeling was just too heavenly, but my fingers subconsciously gave a gentle squeeze. Soft, bouncy, and tender. The rebound was absolutely god tier. The next second, Lu Yanran's mind completely exploded. Hot blood rushed straight to her head. Her cheeks instantly flushed crimson, redder than a fully cooked lobster. Shame, anger, panic, shock, mixed with an indescribable, strange flutter in her heart. Gudden! An explosive roar blasted in my ear. Top-tier survival instincts instantly took over my brain, ignoring the pins and needles gnawing at my legs like tens of thousands of ants. I launched myself backward like a rocket, swiftly retreating to an absolute safe zone 2 meters away. I threw my hands up high, in a posture of surrender, my expression pure and righteous, completely devoid of impure thoughts. Misunderstanding. Boss Lu, it was a pure accident. A misunderstanding. On the carpet, Lu Yanran scrambled to her feet in a flurry. Her shirt collar was slightly open, revealing glimpses of her pink skin. A Category 10 tsunami was already raging in her mind, frantically spamming. My innocence is gone. He definitely did that on purpose. He even squeezed it. I'm so mad. I really want to chop off his paws, but the moment the thought popped up, she instantly vetoed it. No! If I chop them off, who's going to cook for me? Who's going to give me massages? Lu Yanran shook her head fiercely, forcing her rationality back online. Wait, no. This is workplace insubordination. Absolute harassment. She took a deep breath, suppressing her racing heartbeat. She looked up and glared at me fiercely. A misunderstanding. You better explain yourself clearly. Why did your hand land so perfectly? And what was the meaning of that little squeeze just now? Did you think it felt really damn good?